Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on X, Rumble, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, BitChute Live, also on the audio streams after the show and your finer podcasting platforms. We're on all of them, iTunes, Spotify, and the rest, so you can catch us there. Great to have you with us. This is episode 606 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio and TV program on alternate current radio network, as well as 21stcenturywired.com. We have quite a lot of ground to cover, especially in the first segment. We've got a lot to break down. I'm going to break it down for you, and in the way that you guys are accustomed to, with the finer details and all of the key points. We're going to wrap that up nicely for you in the first segment, and then we'll be joined by our teammates in the Overdrive afterwards. Hopefully we'll be joined by, we don't know who's going to drop in, but I'm sure there'll be a couple of our teammates dropping in during the Overdrive segment. Nonetheless, we have plenty of things to deal with. Let's go firstly to our Sunday screening. I'm going to bring this up on screen right now. Let's take a look at that. Algeria, toxic colonization. Now, very important, North Africa, because this is going to segue into what we're going to talk about regarding a number of things. We'll also touch on this fake immigration, say migrant invasion, if you will, or in the Elon Tommy Robinson vein, you could say the Muslim invasion of Spain. Not quite. We'll show you what's actually behind that for those of you who don't know yet. And if you do know, we'll make sure we explain it to you nicely so that you are up to speed on that. But this documentary brings, again, North Africa back into the frame. It is a lot about Morocco, Algeria, the Abraham Accords, the United States and Israel manipulating the Western Sahara issue. That's also a very contentious piece of territory and an issue as well. We'll definitely be covering that more in the coming months, and maybe even some interesting reporting along those lines. We'll let you know later on in a few months. But anyway, check that out, the Sunday screening. That's our weekly documentary film, which is curated by our editorial team at 21stcenturywire.com. So you guys want to check that out. That will be a very, very good little piece of education, and there's more where that came from. There's a lot to cover on this issue. Certainly we'll be there to do that for you. But basically, this is where we're at this week. Taco hell, no mas. So Trump has seemingly tacoed on Iran. Well, not quite, and we've got a different spin on it. A lot of the pundits will be sort of keep following this just macabre tennis match that Trump plays on Truth Social and in the media. On again, off again, it's on again, it's off again. As you know from watching this program and listening to my other interviews, we have sort of given up on that sort of charade a long time ago. And it's just a load of BS, folks. We'll tell you how to cut through that. I know that a lot of pundits like to pretend there's peace deals on the table when there's not, when there's absolutely not. There isn't a deal on the table here either. Okay, so it's getting old, but still good enough for the media to follow. We'll break it all down for you. So taco hell, no mas, no mas. So he's saying he's claiming that Iran is saying no mas, but actually, and some people might be thinking that it's the United States saying no mas. It's Israel saying no mas. The U.S.'s military has reported they're running low on munitions, interceptors, ditto with the Israelis. So concerns by the military. We've seen all the headlines, even going so far as to claim that U.S. are not using any interceptors or wasting them on the host countries like Jordan, and they're saving them to protect their own men and their own bases. Well, there goes the protection racket, if that's true. The reality is something in between, and we'll explain that to you. for those of you who don't yet know. So Trump tacos. Did he really taco? It doesn't matter. It's taco hell. It's taco hell. Doesn't matter. So let's go through the narrative here and explain to you exactly how it works. So first of all, this was a couple of days ago. Trump orders fresh attack against Iran as war enters 6 months. So there's a big threat, and this is usually what the Trump administration does. Big threat, big sort of drama, put on a big show. It's like the gorilla at the zoo, putting on a big front. And so that he's basically saying that it's going to be the biggest attack on anybody since World War II, and the straits will be open again, and all this other stuff. And we're going to take out Iran's power and infrastructure, and we're going to make them pay for it. In the U.S. is Trump's claiming that Iran broke the MOU. That's a total lie. The U.S. dismantled every aspect of that MOU. Marco Rubio dismantled the clause 1 of the MOU, as we explained before, with this bogus normalization deal between the minority Maronite Christian president in Lebanon and the Israelis, claiming that some sort of a peace deal between Lebanon and Israel. That just destroyed, and which basically legitimized Israel's genocide in South Lebanon and the occupation of South Lebanon. And meanwhile, this week they're blowing up UNESCO World Heritage sites, including an old Crusader castle. Israel, I think, just blew it up today. Beaufort Castle. I've been there. It's not there anymore. The Israelis hate history. These European colonial settlers come to the Middle East, they come to the Levant, and they just systematically destroy anything that's older than their sort of contrived religious ethno-nationalist narrative, which is what they're doing in South Lebanon. It's disgusting. Anyway, I digress. So the big threats by Trump. Then next, here it comes. President saying the U.S. is locked and loaded, ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran at levels of military terror, strength, and power. So he's calling it terrorism, military terror, not seen since World War II. Despite this, we have just been asked by Iran, that's a lie, absolute lie, which we'll show you, and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack, in that the parameters of a deal have been agreed to. Not true. This would include the immediate, complete, and total opening of the Strait of Hormuz. How many times have we seen these stupid posts on his idiotic website, Truth Social? Anyway, I think this is like the 10th time. And at the end, an end to Iran's nuclear threat. There is no nuclear threat. You claim you ended it last June in 2025 with Operation Midnight Hammer. This is retarded. There's no evidence that Iran is pursuing a nuclear weapon, by the way. There's a lot of fake claims on certain podcasts that Iran secretly has one. I mean, I personally don't believe that, but some people get a lot of clicks and views from it, and they push stuff that's basically secondhand hearsay and rumor at best. But anyway, it's funny how that sort of bolsters the Trump narrative. But anyway, we can discuss that at a later date. Anyway, based on this request, I have agreed, says Trump. So he's putting this like he's the sort of compassionate Caesar here, basically agreeing for the future benefit of the world in all caps, and likewise the survival of a successful and prosperous Iran. So 2 days ago, he's threatening to wipe it off the map. Now he's saying he wants to see a successful and prosperous Iran. To cancel the attack, he says. Subject to being able to rapidly make a deal. What deal? What is a deal? Is that an agreement? Is that an accord? What is it? Another MOU? The country of Israel joins me in this commitment. Oh, wonderful. Get to work, everybody, and get it done. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. It's just so stupid. Seriously, this is a retarded administration. This is not a serious administration. So you want to know, what are we looking at here? What exactly are we looking at? We are looking at a ruse. Okay. Now, what the record from Trump is, whenever he says, "Oh, I'm pulling back, we're going to sign a deal," that's when, and then when negotiations begin or they send somebody, then that's when the next threats come, and probably he'll bomb or try to assassinate the Iranians. That's basically the Israeli method, which is kill the people that you're trying to negotiate with, and then use negotiations as cover for a sort of dirty sneak attack. That's what this is. Anyway, I told you the last couple of weeks that they'll be engaging in fake negotiations in order to buy extra time, because what's happened here is it's not the U.S. military that's panicking, like some articles say, because they don't have enough missiles or Patriot interceptors. No, it's Israel panicking. Read between the lines. When you say U.S. military concerns, that means Israel's concerns. Okay? And that's the main thing. So they can't reach levels pre-February of what they had before. What they can do is they can accumulate some levels of interceptors and bombs and missiles in order to do between a 10-day and a 14-day campaign of aggression. But the U.S. will have to space that out every 60 days because they need time to rearm and reload. And Israel needs time to have sort of some defenses. So that means you're going to see this pattern, this cycle, just repeat itself. And then there'll be some, major dramatic theatrical performance, announcement, maybe an invasion of an island right before the midterm elections. And then Trump will go and declare victory. The press in America will declare victory. And that will be in the mind of Trump and the Republicans, that will save a couple of seats in the Senate, basically. It might save them from losing a couple of seats in the House and the Senate. I think the Republicans will lose the House, probably, almost certain, and they may lose the Senate, or they may hold on by just 1 or 2 seats. But in the mind of this president, he believes that these stunts, or creating a fake or a Pyrrhic victory by just doing some sort of an annihilation of Iran, will somehow help him, his party, and his White House survive the midterms. It's pretty sad. And so, but whatever's done and whatever's claimed, that will all be washed away after the elections, no matter what the result. Now, if the Democrats want to rein in this wartime president, they can do that after January, when the new members of the House and Senate are sworn in. If there's some advantage on the anti-war vote, or pushing Trump to adhere to the War Powers Act or whatever, that's not going to take effect until the second week of January 2027. So he has a window to wage kind of a vicious war up until the second week of January 2027. So just understand that that's what's going on here. Okay, it's games. These are games. The U.S. has already funded operations against Iran in and around the Strait of Hormuz, just bombing targets, infrastructure, and all that. That's already funded right through 2027. They're going to continue doing this. So everything you're seeing right now, like this, is just theater. It's to deflect, to sort of misdirect the press, and maybe in their mind think they can fool the Iranians a little bit and other countries while they get on with basically the long-term strategy, which is pretty clear. We'll show you more about that. So that's what's going on there. And then here, Trump says Middle East allies have reached out and outlines of a deal to end the Iran war, says the U.S. to stop new strikes. Again, read between the lines. Israel is concerned. The only reason the U.S. is not bombing is because of what will happen to Israel, as well as U.S. positions in Israel, as well as U.S. military facilities and U.S. aircraft that are parked in Israel. That's the main concern. The Gulf is second. And we'll show you. The Saudi Arabia specifically is being leaned on to expand the war, because the U.S.-Israeli plan, I think, is to wreck Saudi Arabia or achieve regime change at some point. I think that's their plan. They want their hands on the oil, and they'll start cannibalizing these Gulf states at some point. And that's all part of the Greater Israel Project, which we'll show you. So here, now for a little dose of reality. Iran has rejected the latest U.S.-backed Qatari proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and denied Israeli Channel 12 propaganda report that the foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, had accepted the deal, calling the claim false, as per Iranian Fars news agency. Citing military forces, Fars said no changes have been made to Tehran's policy, insisting the strait remains closed. It will stay closed. Any vessels seeking passage will have to, again, obtain authorization and coordination through the IRGC naval and the administrative body set up by the U.S. and Iranian Memorandum of Understanding. No change. No change in policy. No change in on-the-ground reality. There it is. Iran's defense minister said every U.S. threat is treated as real, adding that Tehran is not backing down and instead raising combat readiness, strengthening deterrence for any scenario. So Iran's just basically prepared for war. They don't believe anything the U.S. said. That's what we told you. That's their policy. They recognize the U.S. is not agreement capable. So any talk of a deal by Trump or anybody in this government is just laughed off by the Iranians. They're going to get on with business and prepare for more war. And the United States is doing the same, and so is Israel. The Gulf states are sort of caught in the middle in a bit of a conundrum. So Trump sort of tacoed, but he tacoed more, I think, to the Israelis, maybe a little bit of Gulf pressure, because Iran said, you come after our infrastructure, we're going to wipe out everything in your Gulf ally states. Every refinery, is just going to blow it up, and then see how they like it in Riyadh and these other places. It's so funny how these Gulf Arabs are just trying to play fast and loose with some inevitabilities that are just inescapable. Why is that? Because they're being leaned on. Why are they being leaned on? Who could be leaning on Saudi Arabia? It's a good question, isn't it? It's definitely a good question. So in the meantime, you've got these two war criminals, these clowns. Hegseth is just presiding over the biggest military defeat and disaster in the modern era. This grease ball that, again, uses more hair gel in a week than Gavin Newsom could in a year. A Fox News reject who was gifted the head of the Department of Defense, the head of the Pentagon. No experience, nothing. Someone ghost wrote a book for him, allegedly. And yeah, the Israeli lobby picked him. They said, we need someone unqualified who's compromised with a very bad resume and no experience, who's really thick and will do whatever he's told. And I said, we got the perfect guy. His name is Pete Hegseth. And the rest, he will go down in history as the worst, most unqualified, disastrous, high-level cabinet pick in the history of the United States of America. And with any luck, he'll spend the rest of his adult life behind bars in some prison somewhere, preferably in The Hague. But he may not even escape U.S. justice, because I can tell you this guy is corrupt. He is corrupt as the day is long. And look at Trump falling asleep. That's, in a nutshell, this is it. It's a joke. These people are just presiding over the biggest disaster ever. And they think they're doing a great job, I'm sure, because all their friends tell them that, as well as all these sort of ne'er-do-wells at Fox News. Anyway, here's who's really in charge. Take a close look at this. This is at Lindsey Graham's funeral. Why anybody would go and fly to attend the funeral of somebody, one of the worst human beings ever, Lindsey Graham, just a despicable, warmongering little sprite of a man. Anyway, they all the warmongers and grifters and thieves, they all flocked to Lindsey Graham's funeral. You can see Netanyahu there giving orders to Rubio and Hegseth. And look there in the right-hand corner. Look, it's the master of the coin, Howard Lutnick, Trump's commerce secretary, Trump's handler. Israel has assigned a handler to Trump, and his name is Howard Lutnick. You've got Scott Bessent there, the other little finger, the other sort of master of the coin, U.S. Treasury Secretary, George Soros' globalist banker, who's also compromised. You can absolutely believe that. So there they are, and we've actually got this video clip, and it's very revealing. I think we should take a look at this. This Netanyahu. Look, just notice. This is from Lindsey Graham's funeral. Notice the facial expressions of Netanyahu, and then look at how he is literally giving orders to Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, and Pete Hegseth, the self-styled Secretary of War. I just watch the body language. Something big is happening. There's something serious that's going on. You're watching an organized crime syndicate right here. That's what you're watching. Let's take a look at this. Take a closer look at it. It's very interesting. Watch it right about here. Now he gets angry. Watch Netanyahu. Look at Hegseth shrugging his shoulders. Rubio's just doing a 360 right now, looking away. He's checking to see who's filming. That's what Rubio's doing. There's Netanyahu waving his hand. Hegseth out of his depth. Out of his depth. Unbelievable. This guy, Netanyahu, comes to the U.S., is treated like a king. He's a wanted war criminal. And, Rubio will go up there and say that, we're going to dismantle the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Yeah, the U.S. isn't a signatory to it. There's a lot of things to criticize the ICC about, but the day they finally did their job and indicted an actual war criminal, Netanyahu, and his evil defense minister, Yoav Gallant, for crimes against humanity. They finally, after 25 years, the ICC did their job. And this is what happens. The U.S. comes after them, threatens them. Israel threatening them, getting their prosecutors fired, lobbying, all sorts of blackmail going on behind the scenes. You can be absolutely sure of it. It's interesting, isn't it? You know, I'm a big critic of the ICC because, well, I remember when I first walked into the ICC, I went into their foray. I had a module when I did my postgraduate work in international relations. Part of the program was going to the ICC and talking to the administrators there, learning more about the court and how it works in the international system in the Netherlands. You walk in there. I walked in reception. I look up on the wall. There's the Hall of Shame. All of the people they've indicted. And I looked up there. I think I saw 6. And they're all black. They're all Africans. So the ICC is a tool of the U.S. Ultimately, the U.S. didn't sign on to the Rome Statute for the International Criminal Court because they didn't want to be liable or have any of their people, presidents or soldiers or whatever, you know, corralled by it because they were guilty of just an unlimited number of war crimes. And they're preparing to do the worst ever war crimes in Iraq when they formed the ICC in 2000. So the U.S. knew exactly what they were doing. But the U.S. were micromanaging the ICC. They have people planted in the court, in the International Criminal Court, observers in Eurojust, the sort of auxiliary organization. And the U.S. can basically put pressure, make sure that red notices and warrants are issued, Interpol, all of that. The U.S. have control over the ICC, but they didn't have control over this one. Netanyahu wasn't the first white person to be indicted. Actually, Putin was the DEI color barrier. Putin shattered the glass ceiling. They indicted Putin with fake charges of abducting 1 million Ukrainian children, completely fake, 100% fake charges, kidnapping Ukrainian children. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, Netanyahu, that's an actual case. It's real. It's probably the first overall, probably the first legitimate indictment with arrest warrants issued. So I'm just putting that into the frame for you so that you get an idea of what that's about. Now, we're going to we'll bring back up on stage the various particulars here, but one thing you have to realize when you're talking, you know, Lindsey Graham as well, you know, the levels of evil, it's hard to comprehend. There's another clip here. I mean, just watch this. This is Lindsey Graham. I mean, so this is a clip from a documentary that they were shadowing him to make this documentary, I think, before he mysteriously died. And you could just see what an evil, crass, and just casually waving his hands and kind of musing about, you know, how many people he's going to kill, who they're going to bomb, making cities fall in Iran, like it's a game of Risk. Here he is right here.
Able to deliver. Oh, to be honest with you.
Here, hold on for a moment.
To be honest with
you. Let me just rewind that.
3 to 4 weeks.
Listen closely. Listen to this guy. He's talking about taking down the government, taking down the country of Iran. Incredible.
Able to deliver. Oh, to be honest with you, I think about 3 to 4 weeks we should have them in a spot where they start losing control of some cities. And what we're trying to do is just get a few cities to fall in the next month. Get the Arabs more openly involved tomorrow or by the end of the week, and just have almost irreversible momentum. Is able.
Get the Arabs involved at the end of the week. I mean, listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. Who he woke up and just sort of declared himself emperor. You know, he was John McCain's partner in crime. And I won't speculate on their relationship or anything like that, but it was a very strange relationship. A little bit too enthusiastic and excited about killing people, bombing, and just leaving mayhem in his wake. I mean, it's a kind of an unhealthy look, and he's just sitting there casually saying how we're going to take down Iranian cities and lay siege to whole countries. He doesn't care if people starve, doesn't care how many die. He's cheering on every bomb that's dropped on Gaza. Lindsey Graham got off on watching Palestinians get slaughtered wholesale. He got off on it. They get excited by that. These people, the most evil people. And just look at who showed up to his funeral. That really sort of says it all. That's really all you need to know, but unbelievable, that guy. Let me see if we might have another one. Anyway, we'll look at that later. But okay, so just clarifying all of that now. So Trump tacoed, but not really. It's more like Israel's tacoing until they can feel confident. So it's just going to be death by 1,000 cuts. The U.S. is going to continue, and we'll show you how this actually works. Look at this. So the war is expanding, okay? The war expands. How? Look at this. Pay attention. So Saudi Arabia blames Iran-backed militias in Iraq for attack on the Abqaiq oil facility, which is approximately 50 kilometers from Bahrain. Okay? That caused the Saudis and the Americans to launch a whole wave of airstrikes against the Iraqi military. So the Iranian-backed militias, they're talking about the PMFs. They're not Iranian-backed. They're under the command of the Iraqi prime minister. Okay, this is the former Hashd al-Shabi PMU units. Okay, so the Wall Street Journal that can't even get the story right, and I think this was a major screw up. Okay, because no one in Iraq hit this facility in Saudi. Nobody did. But the U.S. and Saudi were very quick to react in a coordinated attack against Iraq. So this technically, and even if Yemen's Houthis or Ansar Allah took credit for it, the fact that it was misattributed by the U.S. and Saudi and used as a pretext for aggression against Iraq, that technically is a false flag. Technically. Now, I'm not convinced that Yemen did this, and I still have to double check, but I have to double check whether there was official credit taken for this attack. But what's clear is by the reaction of the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, its puppet protectorate, that this was pre-planned. They were going to attack Iraq, and they just needed the excuse or the false flag or whatever the op is to do it. That's what happened. Okay? That's what actually happened. So just understand this. So that's a huge expansion of the conflict into Iraq. Amazing. What's also interesting is coming at a time when Iran is pounding U.S. intelligence stations in Iraqi Kurdistan. The U.S. and Israel have been hiding, doing dirty ops in northern Iraq, in Iraqi Kurdistan. And Iran is just wiping them out. They're sending in special forces, ghost units, everything. Missiles, drones, just wiping them out. So the U.S. is evacuating all of those bases. They used those to hit Iran during those previous waves of attacks. They can't do that anymore. And the Kurdish separatists in Iran, that ain't going to happen. That's a busted flush right there. So who's leaning on Saudi Arabia? How is Saudi compromised? How are they compromised? Look at this. This is how they're compromised. Everybody's best friend. There he is, Jeffrey Epstein. So what's his connection with Mohammed bin Salman, do they know each other? Were they friends? Was Jeff doing consultancy work for the Saudi royal family? Give them advice on where to invest. High net worth individuals getting some high risk, high yield, hedge fund, private equity opportunities, the type of stuff Jared Kushner's into, right? Oh, Jared Kushner. That's interesting. He's also tied into this. So how well did Jeffrey Epstein and soon to be king, or Prince Mohammed bin Salman, how well did they know each other? Well, apparently pretty well. There's MBS wearing his pajamas or his caftan or whatever with his best friend, his buddy. They look pretty close, don't they? Him and Jeff. Pretty chummy. What do you think they get up to together or got up to? Very strange, isn't it? But that means that Israel is inside the palace, folks. Israel runs the UAE for all intents and purposes. The Emiratis made the massive mistake of letting them in, and they'll lose their country eventually because of that. Very, very silly. But anyway, Saudi Arabia has other issues besides just basic direct threats from the U.S. Plus this, Epstein. Jeff's friends with everybody. Incredible networker, Jeff. I saw his lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, on Piers Morgan this week, trying to debate Mohammed Morandi and getting his you-know-what handed to him. But anyway, we won't bore you with that. Just watch the episode. It's highly entertaining. Alan Dershowitz is a sad individual. I could just deconstruct that interview. It's just insane. So MBS is compromised. I think that's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. He's massively compromised. He's doing things. The Saudis, you'll see that they attacked Yemen last week. They tried to interdict an Iranian airliner, bringing home the Yemeni delegation from the Supreme Leader's funeral, and Saudi attacks Sana'a airport in Yemen. And of course, the Yemenis respond and hit Saudi refineries, taking off their oil export capabilities on the Red Sea. Just totally stupid by Saudi. And you're thinking, who's pushing Saudi to do these stupid things? Well, the U.S. is pushing, Trump's pushing him hard, plus he's compromised. Clear. Are we clear on this? Okay. It's exactly what's happening. No doubt about it. And then this happens. Drone attack in Damietta. This is in Egypt. This is an LNG facility on the Mediterranean, a port. Now Egypt's into the fray. But there's a problem here. Nobody knows who did it. Again, potential false flag. No party has claimed responsibility. Look, if the Houthis or Ansar Allah is the real name, what the Americans call them, the Houthis or the Houthi, whatever. If they do something, they're going to take credit for it, and loudly. And they're very deliberate. And so is Iran. Okay? So Egypt is investigating. Let's look at the map. Look at this. There it is. Energis Winter, that in Port of Damietta, up there in the Med. That's a U.S. facility in Egypt and is part of the Israeli-Egyptian LNG network. But it's a U.S. target ultimately. So who do you think's behind that? Does Israel engage in false flags? Historically, yes. Do they do it during wartime? Absolutely, 100% they do. They have a very bad record of false flags. Does the U.S. engage in false flags? Yes. They've been caught on many occasions. Okay. Iran does not, there's no record of Iran doing false flag attacks. But the U.S. and Israel, both who wage war by deception, do it regularly. So is that what we're looking at here? How come no one took credit for it? Interesting, isn't it? But they sure tried to blame it on the Houthis and the Iranians. Anybody trying to blame Iran for this, or Yemen, or especially if you think Iran did this and didn't take credit, you're smoking some strong weed, I'm telling you right now. So the drone reportedly hit U.S.-owned floating storage and regasification vessel, Energos Winter, sparking a blaze that spread to the Greek-owned LNG tanker, Gaslog Salem, or Salem. Well, so Egypt's in the fray. So let's take a look at this. So here's the conflict. As it were, when things were kind of scaled back the last month, the red border there, that's around the country of Iran, and then Lebanon, you can see in the Eastern Med. So you got the two red sort of borders I drew there. So that was the conflict, but now the war is expanded. So if you look above the Caspian Sea, above Iran, Zelensky had the bright idea to fire a missile or a drone and hit an Iranian tanker, Iranian ship, killing Iranian sailors. That was 100% intentional. Okay, that's expanding the conflict. Now Russia's involved. Now the Caspian Sea has been activated. Then over here, right between, you see the Kingdom of Jordan, Iran hit U.S. bases there, hard, destroyed a bunch of F-35s. They're not cheap, 100 million a pop. And also just crucial in providing Israel's defense. Jordan is the #1 shield for Israel, and Iran's been pelting them with various projectiles and knocking out Israel's defense. The U.S. position there is to defend Israel, be clear. That's what they exist for. And Iran's been degrading it. So already you're seeing an expansion. That's in the last week. And then down here along the Red Sea, Ansar Allah, aka the Houthis, strikes on Yanbu. Oil pipeline and oil distribution facility, and then Jizan, there just south of Jeddah. Okay, just southeast of Mecca on the Red Sea. So that's an expansion, again, in the last 10 days. And then look at this. Then we had, as we said, Abqaiq there, which is near Bahrain. And then all of these, you see these flashpoints here in Iraq. That's the U.S. and Saudi bombing Iraq. So look at this. This is all in the last 10 days. So that red border where it was 2 weeks ago, there's the conflict zone now. Take a look at it. That's where we are now. Okay? Now, just pay attention. And again, Egypt up in the upper left-hand corner of that area. See? And it could expand more. So what's happened here is, you have to read this with the big picture. Okay, the attack by Ukraine on behalf of Israel, so that close coordination between Zelensky, he is an absolute Zionist and Israeli loyalist. His family's in Israel, protected by the Israeli government. Tells you all you need to know. When Zelensky flees Ukraine, and he will flee to Israel or the U.S. or Britain, but maybe to Israel. Who knows? Maybe if it's there or if it's safe. But it's one of the escape hatches for Zelensky. So, but what he's done is hit the future middle corridor that connects Russia to Iran and then south from Chabahar to the port of Mumbai in India. That's called the Middle Corridor Project, very similar to the Belt and Road Project. U.S. grand strategy is to disrupt this project, just like U.S. grand strategy is to disrupt and derail and sabotage China's Belt and Road Initiative. That's long-term strategy. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. It continues. It's in Zbigniew Brzezinski's book, The Grand Chessboard, published in 1997. U.S. grand strategy, long-term strategy, knock out any peer competitor to the United States post-Cold War. Very clear, very straightforward. And they've been doing that consistently since the end of the Cold War. So they're doing it. They're achieve. The U.S. is involved either in the process of or achieving some what they believe are their long-term grand strategy objectives. Okay. Now the other one is defend and protect their greatest ally, Israel. That's a U.S. part of the U.S. Grand strategy. Whether that makes sense or is any good for America, we could debate that. But look at how the conflict is expanding, and then look at this: the Greater Israel Project, no longer a conspiracy theory. Israel's very out in the open about this now, and they need to knock out or create totally subservient Arab client states in that red zone, and they covet a lot of that territory. Realistically, they won't be able to get it, but they'll be able to control it. There's a difference. As long as they have subservient client regimes, and the way America does it, just to put you guys into the picture, Egypt is the model. Military dictatorship, normalization with Israel. That's the model. Former revolutionary government in Egypt under Gamal Abdel Nasser. They managed to, flip that and turn it into what it is now, which is a totally supine, pro-Western, pro-Israeli military dictatorship that will do nothing while the Palestinians just get slaughtered wholesale right over the fence. Okay. That's the model. So all of the royal families in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, even Qatar, the UAE, even potentially, if they don't play ball with Israel and the U.S., the next stage is to get rid of those royal families, and then the U.S. will then install a military dictator. They'll find somebody who's a general or head of the army, or be like, maybe there'll be some royal lineage there or whatever. They'll just basically do regime change. If these Gulf states don't play by the rules set by the U.S. and Israel and do everything they're told, they're gone. And the U.S. and its allies will carve up those countries and take the oil and all the rest of it. They'll put a military dictator in charge for the transition. And then they'll announce detente with Israel for a period of time. And I estimate that the U.S. and Israel will need something like 10 years to properly colonize and take control of a country like Saudi Arabia, and using a military dictator as a proxy. Again, Egypt is the model for either Arab nationalist countries, aspiring Arab nationalist countries, or monarchies. The other option is, of course, to break them up into smaller states. That's the easiest. Bedouin, tribal, factional, sectarian, whatever. That's also, easily done. Easily done. So all of this suits the Greater Israel Project. Now, the U.S. supports the Greater Israel Project so long as it helps the U.S. achieve, and its allies, the Europeans, achieve their strategic and economic and geopolitical objectives. The minute the Greater Israel Project undermines Western economic and geostrategic objectives, then there's a potential problem that might be arising. The problem is Israel has a lopsided influence now. It's no longer just a protectorate or a client state. It's openly attacking U.S. sovereignty, meddling in U.S. and European and other elections, threatening other countries, engaged openly in mafia behavior, and controlling and dictating U.S. and European foreign policy, and trying to make a play for the Pentagon right now, as you all know. So the U.S. has been running this protection racket with the Gulf states, which is totally shattered to pieces by Iran now. And they run a similar protection racket in Europe with NATO, which Russia is really exposing, and the whole grift and the corruption of this Ukrainian debacle is also exposing the protection racket in Europe. So, but the U.S. and Israel operating openly like a criminal cartel, like an organized crime syndicate, openly engaged in racketeering. I'll show you just how openly they're doing this. This story, and we'll get into this, and then we'll go to a break in a minute. Spanish, I say Cueta. Some people are calling it other things. I pronounce that Cueta. Spanish Cueta witnesses a deadly game for Moroccan migrants. So what was this like? You guys have seen the scenes. Let's take a look at some of those scenes. I mean, you've probably seen some of these videos. I mean, I'll show you one of the tame ones here. I mean, take a look at this. You just see, like, I don't know, 50,000 people just kind of, just look, they're not carrying any bags. They're not carrying any IDs. Some of them were swimming, thousands swimming now into Spain, but this isn't Spain proper. This is Spanish territory, 2 Spanish enclaves in Morocco, Ceuta and Melilla. Okay. So we'll break this down for you. So you're going to get a little masterclass here. So we'll bring this back up. Now, they're saying this was a Muslim invasion of Spain and so forth. No, this was staged. This was an engineered crisis. They unleashed all of these young people, encouraged them. Some of them were probably paid, not much money, by the way, to go and do this, and also promising them that they're going to get European citizenship or asylum. Almost all of them have been sent back already. But this is no joke. 67 are dead. They drowned. So this was a U.S.-Israeli immigration invasion stunt. That's exactly what happened here. And it killed 67 of these poor, just totally naive and clueless young Moroccan boys who went along with this stunt. And people like Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson and other people are trying to make a meal out of this, claiming that it was the terrible leftist Spanish government that's responsible for this, the socialist government, etc., the woke government, Pedro Sanchez. No. The U.S. and Israel openly aggressive against Spain because Spain would not let the United States use Spanish bases to bomb Iran. Full stop. And also, they've been very critical of Israel and the genocide. Spain generally recognizes that Israel is guilty of genocide. So the U.S. and Israel have declared war on Spain. And they're using a corrupt, compliant Moroccan monarchy that signed the ridiculous Abraham Accords as a cudgel against Spain. So these people are so crass, and the people using this to score political points, they're doing so on the dead bodies of 67 Moroccan boys. Just be clear about that. This is no joke. This is a stunt, and this is how I think crass these people are that we're talking about here, is they really don't care. They really don't care. It could be 100 dead. Doesn't matter. They scored their political points. They got their clicks and their views. And some X accounts that I personally know were running with this story as if it was just a migrant invasion, because they were getting all the viral views and making money from Elon's monetization by pumping up the crisis. Okay. And it not a shed of guilt for any of these people. Many of them are in the independent media space as well. It's really pathetic. And it's such a level of corruption. Now there's one person that I want to recognize. But hold on, is this guy, Wally Rashid, okay? He published a video straight off the bat laying it all out. And I want to recognize him, and we'll show you his X handle again, but I'm going to play you one of the first shorts that he put up. He put up a couple of these brilliant sort of micro reports, which he pushed out on TikTok and stuff like that. This is what really happened, just so you know. Watch and listen.
I've already seen this video now of thousands of migrants flooding into Spain's cities in North Africa. What I find so interesting is that back in 2019, Netanyahu's son revealed that Israel funds separatist NGOs in Spain, calling Spain to give away those two cities to Morocco. Regardless of how you feel about the fact that those two cities are on African land, why was Netanyahu's son in 2019 tweeting, "Dear Arabs and Muslims, want to free occupied Arab Islamic lands? Here's a good start, Ceuta and Melilla." What you're seeing right here is a manufactured event by the Trump administration, Israel, and Morocco. To give you guys context, Morocco and Algeria are adversaries. Whenever Spain warms relations with Algeria, Morocco responds by using its own population as blackmail and opening up the gates into Ceuta and Melilla. This is well documented. It happened in 2021 and 2022. Morocco diplomatic blackmailing of Spain and Europe by means of migration management. The reason Israel's involved now, and the Trump administration, especially Marco Rubio, is because they do not like Pedro Sanchez. Back in April, for the first time, the Republican-led U.S. Congressional Committee described Ceuta and Melilla as located in Moroccan territory. The Congressional Committee stated specifically that they support Secretary of State Marco Rubio's effort to encourage diplomatic engagement between Morocco and Spain on the future of Ceuta and Melilla. Why is this happening again now? Because just 10 days ago, Pedro Sanchez visited Algeria for the first time in 4 years. A lot of the reason why Morocco and Algeria are adversaries has to do with the Western Sahara. All you have to know for this video is that in 2022, Spain abandoned its neutrality stance over the disputed territory and backed Morocco over sovereignty claims, angering Algeria. 2021, Spain gave medical treatment to a leader in the Western Sahara and it angered Morocco. Morocco responded by creating the exact same situation we're having today. A month after the hospitalization, Moroccan security forces located on the border of Ceuta and to a lesser extent Melilla relaxed the last control mechanisms, allowing the passage of migrants from Morocco to the Spanish city. This is a geopolitical blackmail event by the Trump administration, Morocco, and Israel. It's not just happening because of lax border policies from a left-wing government.
There it is, folks. So that's all, you know. What more do you need to know? Again, Wally Rashid, fantastic. And he did a couple of other reports. I'd love to play them all, but you can just go to his X account. Okay. Follow him, subscribe to him, donate to him, whatever, support this guy. He's one of the best in independent media, one of the best, you know, especially new faces, I would say, relatively new anyway. He's just done excellent work on pretty much everything that I've seen in the last 3 years. So this is sort of people that you want to recognize and support. So, you know, he laid it out there pretty well. And just so you know, like, look, check this out. So obviously, you see Gibraltar in pink there, just on slightly in the middle there by Spain. That's a contested British territory that the British have been occupying for over 300 years, and that's you know, that's Spanish territory. But Britain needed it for the empire to project power. So Ceuta or Ceuta or Queta, whatever. It's look, the position of it is absolutely important. It gives Spain Spanish territory waters continuous right across the Straits of Gibraltar. And I think at their closest point, it's 8 miles apart. Much smaller than the Strait of Hormuz, by the way. Almost 3 times as small in terms of distance. But that Spanish territory, it gives Spain effective control over the Straits of Gibraltar there, Spanish territorial waters. Now, that might not mean anything until it does, you see, which is normally the case. So the U.S. and Israel want to take that away from Spain. And who knows, maybe this has been promised for a Israeli base. The Israelis, like with Albania and some of these other, they're looking for opportunities to build IDF bases under the tutelage and protection of the United States, or a U.S. base there. And the U.S. can use that to basically harass the Russians, just you name it. There's endless potential there. Or anybody that's pro-Palestinian or not sufficiently pro-Israeli, they can get harassed, Iranians, etc. Chinese shipping, you name it. Anybody not playing ball. So they want control over this, U.S. and its allies. The British already have the top. The U.S. get the bottom, then they can probably redraw the territorial waters, push Spain out, because Spain is just not Zionist enough, quite frankly. So this is why it matters. Take a look at that. Screenshot that if you have to. But that tells you all you need to know. This is a geopolitical flashpoint. This is about the capture of seaways, trade lanes, and choke points. Okay. And it's going to be done through criminal means, which is what the U.S. and Israel and their allies are doing. Piracy, hijacking oil tankers from Venezuela, Russia, Iran, stealing resources, stealing oil, kidnapping heads of state, total lawlessness. And you can see it in action here. Look, how far will they go? Look at this. So this has just been announced. Now, this just the last day. Listen, look. The United States has been clear. We recognize Moroccan sovereignty over the Western Sahara. And we support Morocco's serious, credible, and realistic autonomy proposal as the only basis for a just and lasting solution. Any other path prolongs the status quo is unacceptable. This urgently needs a solution, not only to bring peace to the region, but prosperity, blah, 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 integration of all of Africa, ridiculous. The dispute must end now. The United States will continue driving progress. So what, the U.S. are going to invade Western Sahara? I mean, that's coming. And there'll be Israeli troops there as well. You can absolutely be certain of it. So this is a way of basically hitting back at Algeria, because Algeria supports the Palestinians, you see. That's one issue. There's various issues with Algeria, but good and bad. Former French colony, relatively independent, not uncorrupt by any stretch of the imagination. However, there is a difference between the Kingdom of Morocco, which is not a democracy, which is signed up to the corrupt Abraham Accords, which is an Israeli stooge state, puppet state, a U.S. puppet state, Morocco. A lot of people are unhappy. They're so unhappy that the kids will line up in droves to try to get out. That's how good of a job the Moroccans are doing. It's a disaster. Morocco is a train wreck of a country. So that's what the U.S. are doing. So they're also calling for, at the same time, that Spain lose those territories of Ceuta and Melilla. So busy, aren't they? Busy, the U.S. and Israel. Very busy. Busy doing things. So Ceuta has literal invaders, says Elon Musk. Musk's reaction to immigrant videos goes viral. So Musk tweeted out a scene from, I think it was that World War Z with Brad Pitt. Shows the people trying to scale, zombies scaling the walls. I mean, typical. So Musk and Tommy Robinson tried to milk this story. They don't care the fact that 67 of these kids are dead. This was totally staged, completely set up. They were egged on by certain online accounts and NGOs and influencers posting, telling them to go and do it. As well, we suspect that some of them were paid, probably not much, $20, which is a lot of money in Morocco. Maybe $100, who knows, but it wouldn't take much. And they were promised and told they'd get asylum. Some of them just went over on a chance, basically. So people like Musk are sitting there in the West, revving this up, promoting the hoax, saying it's an Islamic invasion of Europe, and it's because of the woke Spanish government. He's the richest guy in the world. Why is he doing this? Is he compromised? Who's pulling Musk's strings? Who's allowing him to be the richest man in the world, to do what he's doing? He's allowed to do that under certain conditions. Clearly, he's under the thumb of many people. How is it that the richest guy in the world could get dragged by the ear to Auschwitz for a struggle session with Ben Shapiro and Rabbi Shmuley? Because he made a comment on Twitter that was deemed to be anti-Semitic. And all of a sudden he's whisked off to Israel to do the October 7th propaganda tour and then to Auschwitz. If you're the richest guy in the world, you could just tell him to F off and say that, hey, it's my free speech. I'm not going to do your struggle session at Birkenau or Auschwitz. But he did, and being completely shadowed by the likes of Ben Shapiro. How is that even possible? If you're the richest man in the world, if you have real power, right? You have real clout. Apparently not. Apparently Elon doesn't have it. So ever since that time, he's been running all of this immigration propaganda and stoking up race wars, backing the far right, and just like promoting and touting open racism and ethno-nationalism. And of course, Israel loves ethno-nationalism. They love it because that's their narrative. They are an ethno-nationalist exclusive apartheid state. The type that Elon Musk reminisces about in apartheid South Africa. And he's very open about that, as is his father. Very hostile toward black South Africans. What on earth are these people doing? Well, we exposed all this in the first issue of the Column Quarterly. I wrote this feature, Collateral Migration, How NATO and Israel Are Driving Europe's Immigration Crisis. Very important article, which I did, and got very good reviews. And that's in the UK Columns Quarterly magazine, the first edition. It's an 8,000-word feature, very comprehensive. You can go to ukcolumn.org, pick up a copy if you want, but we'll probably publish this. It'll be published online at some point soon anyway, if it's not already up anyway. But Elon's involved. Tommy Robinson is a tool of Israel, as is Nigel Farage. And there's Netanyahu orchestrating all of it from behind the scenes. Israel, just by controlling Western foreign policy, does a lot to drive immigration. Every single migrant wave into Europe, pay attention. All the major migrant flows into Europe are directly as a result of NATO interventions in Afghanistan, Central Asia, Libya, Syria, Iraq. And who is the biggest influencer and who is micromanaging and directing U.S. and NATO foreign policy? It's Israel. They have the most influence. So all of those places I just told you about, including Yugoslavia, by the way, that's also created an Albanian wave of immigrants into the UK in the early 2000s, in Kosovo, Albania, and so forth. So it's beyond a correlation, folks. It's causation. And then Israel's backing the far right, who's complaining about the immigration. So Israel's driving the immigration into Europe and then turns around to completely back and bolster the far right, managing the anti-immigration bloc and claiming that Israel's protecting them from the Muslim invaders. That's why you should support Israel. That was the sales pitch to Viktor Orban, who basically was head over heels in love with Netanyahu for some strange reason. Huge mistake. He may have paid the price for it as well at the ballot box. But nonetheless, that's a real thing. So again, that's it, folks. These are bad actors. I'm telling you right now. and they're being controlled by some very, very well-funded, oligarchs, bankers, the types of people who start world wars and profit off them. Same thing. This is just a different type of situation, different arrangement. It's the same type of dynamic we've had in the run-up to the First World War and the Second World War. Okay? Same type of manipulation, playing the politics, etc., trying to rev up the people so that we tear each other to pieces. As long as, for the oligarch class, the ruling establishment, they're happy if the people at the ground level are ripping each other apart, because that means they're safe. And that's what Elon Musk's job is, and Tommy Robinson, is to incite and to cause race riots, ultimately probably a civil war, culture wars. Culture war is just the sort of opening gambit, actually. These people are very open about this, by the way. They're very open in their deeds and their alliances. It's very clear. Anyway, I exposed all of it in this piece. So that's how it works, folks. That's how it works. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish it wasn't. I wish we didn't have to write these long, exhaustive studies. Spend, I don't know how many hundreds of hours I spent on that particular project, but anyway, that's where we're at. So a little bit longer opening segment here. We're going to go to break right now, and when we come back into Overdrive, I'm not sure if anyone's going to join us, but if they do, we will wrap up some of these issues and also give a shout out to some really important people that mean a lot to us. We'll do all of that and more in the next segment. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is the Sunday Wire, episode 606 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis radio program, brought to you here at 21st Century Wire and alternatecurrentradio.com. I'll be right back. We'll see you in a few.
Cover in the dark, secret wars are waged, quiet army sabotage, bloody tension remains, global faces of a crime, the sleight of hand betrays. Something slept inside their hearts as explosions rage. The system breaks as truth increases. The grip on us and the world order ceases. Behind the mask, it's falling to pieces. What comes next? Have they lost all reason? Paper empires catch a spark as vultures come to prey. Hollow kings are losing ground. Shadows of decay. The walls begin to show a crack as ancient echoes fade. Scales shall fall from blinded eyes, renewing all our faith.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. This is the Sunday Wire. We're streaming out live on YouTube, X, Rumble, Facebook Live, BitChute Live, also on the audio stream, Spotify, iTunes, and the rest. Thank you for joining us. Also, we're streaming out the alternatecurrentradio.com, 21st Century Wire. Hello to everybody in the chat room. We'll try to look at some of the comments in a couple of minutes. And thank you guys for your support for the program. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing our articles, sharing the stream as well. Do us a big favor. Drop a comment, especially if you're on Rumble or YouTube, drop a comment below the main video in the main comment section. Hit like and subscribe on both Rumble and YouTube. We really need your help to force us to the surface a little bit. We're heavily suppressed. And everything that we've got in terms of visibility is because of you guys, because of the fact you've been pushing us physically, manually pushing us. So we're not getting any free rides from the algorithms from Alphabet or even Rumble for that matter. So really, again, it's about your engagement and your support for the show. That's one way you can really help us, and it goes a long way. So I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Now let me see. We might have a couple of our teammates in the house. I'm going to bring them up on stage. Here we go. Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher, host of the Boiler Room, captain of the ACR Mothership, and Adam Clark, known by some as Ruckus, who is also a host and content creator at Alternate Current Radio Network, as well as on other programs. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. It's got some tacos, serving up some tacos from Trump. Taco hell, I called it. Taco hell. Dodgy meal deals from the Donald. Dodgy meal deals. I thought we tried to break it down anyway, but hello, gentlemen.
Hey, it's good to see you, Patrick. Sorry I missed you guys last week, but it's great to be back. Yes, it's time to fold some tacos. So Adam and I we're ready. We're ready to watch Genocide Dawn fold like a wet taco.
Are those pastor or spicy, or are they well, with Trump he probably can't handle anything too spicy, right?
Yeah, no, these are like the fakest gringoest tacos that his weak system could possibly process.
McDonald's tacos, maybe? Do they do Mexican?
Yeah, probably. I don't think he could even handle Taco Bell tacos.
I don't think so. That's probably too hot for him. Ruckus as well. You think you're on the taco tip, aren't you?
Yeah. I may have had something to do with this one, inspired by today's show title. You'll notice, although they look like traditional Mexican tacos and a traditional Mexican-style restaurant, it's clearly an Iranian thing going on here. And even though I made a few versions of these, in all of them, I made sure that Trump was only serving the tacos. And if you asked him what's in the tacos, he probably has no idea, because he certainly didn't make them. And I'm sure you can guess who was actually making the tacos for him.
Not good.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know
tacos.
about you all. I would not trust that at all, because that dude looks like he would not obey the sign in the bathroom that says, "Please wash your hands after committing a genocide." I mean, after using the bathroom.
Well, put that image back up again. I just want to point out another violation, flagrant foul here. That just violates every kosher law on the books for handling food. He's probably got the meat and the milk in the same fridge. Knowing him, I mean, just totally a non-observant Jew, Netanyahu, totally secular. If the showman was there in the kitchen, he would have just been basically hit with a fine, with a clipboard, the white coat and the clipboard. Netanyahu would have been toast. No, all jokes aside, guys, it's pretty horrific. What is that Farsi in the background? Don't tell me you don't know it.
I used AI for portions of this graphic, so God only knows what Grok wrote in Farsi.
I think you got to be careful. You got to be very careful.
It might say bad things, and we might.
I hope it's not offensive. I mean,
no, knowing Grok, it's not going to be anything we might take offense to, but there might be a select group of people out there somewhere that might not be happy with what it says. But, hey, you know.
menu.
Copy-paste sometimes. I don't take credit for that.
Is that a translation? The menu, is that pretty literal? The translation there?
I'm assuming so. I didn't double check, but I think that's what we got going on here. The thing is, there is one image where it's all in, there's no English. So I'm like, what did Grok put on here? I'm very curious. I want somebody to translate it, but who knows?
Well, oh gosh, I really hope it's not really bad.
No, knowing Grok is something like dad jokey about Trump. It likes to do that a lot. It'll be like Taco Don's Taco Palace. It'll say something silly. I guarantee it. I mean, again, I didn't look into it, but I'm just guessing from my experience with Grok.
Hesher's got some in the background too. Again, we don't know what that means.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, I'd have no clue what it says there.
Oh gosh, you guys are going to get us in trouble here. I hope it's not blasphemous.
Well, I'm sure we've got a Farsi speaker in the audience. Maybe they can let us know if we need to redact this.
We do have a lot of Muslim viewers and supporters of the show, so I don't want to offend anybody. You can kind of pass the buck and blame it on the AI, I suppose, but still got to be
blame
careful.
it on Elon. It's his pet.
I am concerned, though, true story, because usually when I post anything, even if it's got a little teensy-weensy bit of AI in there, the thing will always say, made by AI. I made this one using, most of it, using Grok's AI, so I guess it recognized that. But when I made the post today, it didn't say made by AI. So I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. I hope we're not.
Well, this wasn't made by AI. That's a real photo. Does that not scare the living daylights out of anybody? I mean, that's Epstein with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. I didn't realize they were such good buddies. Apparently, yes.
MBS has a wide circle of friends, and I guess we can add the friends of Jeffrey to that circle.
They do look very close there, very chummy, like joking, just hanging out. Maybe they just had a slumber party or sleepover. Jeffrey procured some party favors, maybe, for the Crown Prince there. I don't even want to speculate.
I don't either. It just feels evil wondering what these two guys did the night before this picture.
Yeah, it's not good. That could be aboard a yacht as well, actually. I mean, that could be on a super yacht, for all we know. The interior there, it's hard to say, but knowing Jeff, that's probably about right. So that could have been taken in the south of France or something. We don't know, but anyway. Saudi Arabia is in a bit of trouble, and that kind of explains a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting today in your monologue, because I often wonder, like, what is going to happen to some of these Arab states that are little satellites of the Friends of Jeffrey unit and the United States of America and Israel. What will ultimately become of Jordan, of Saudi Arabia, of some of these places? We're kind of already getting a glimpse of what's to come for Syria, and it's not looking fantastic. I'm very displeased when I see what's happening in Syria after what they've been through over the years. So the fact that perhaps all of these countries will be experiencing heavy metal, not the cool kind, landing on their countries makes me really wonder. What do you think that looks like in the future, Patrick?
Yes. Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. It could go either way. I gave you my sort of theory, because obviously they have those built out oil and gas and petrol industries, but a lot of those will be just damaged beyond recognition after this is all done.
Yeah, new contracts, right? And that makes me think even other things like, oh no, they're going to wipe all these well-established rigs and oil extraction locations out, and then what? Is Halliburton going to get a whole bunch of new contracts? Is all these multinational corporations going to come in who are complete darlings of everyone we're talking about today?
If the royal tribal chieftains and sheikhs in these Gulf states believe that the U.S. and Israel will allow them to stay in power in those countries, if they don't absolutely toe the line and give them everything they want, they're delusional. Those days are over. They will undo what Britain created after the First World War just as quickly as you can say Abraham Accords. Anyway, it's kind of horrific thinking about it, but that's why we were trying to show people that this isn't a conspiracy theory. I was just saying, look at this map here, and then look at this map, and just understand the relationship between these two things. That's the zone of conflict right now as it expands. And then this is obviously the end game for Israel, the Greater Israel Project. So they have to wipe out, destroy, ruin, wreck, assassinate as much as they can within that red zone and steal, maybe annex, or just, have control over, basically. So whether they're successful or not, guys, is another matter. That's a different discussion. Whether it's prudent, whether it makes sense, whether it's going to be good for America, that's an open question. But they're doing it. That's the point. They're going to do it. Whether you think it's going to work or not is beside the point.
Yeah, and I can't help but notice there's a big red splash on top of Cairo. There's red splashes, on top of parts of Egypt and parts of Turkey. Of course, Iraq is, looking not great there. That's not good for them. So, I mean, how does Turkey and Egypt feel about this moving forward?
Well, I'm sure Turkey might kick and scream, but it won't do anything, as usual. Egypt is a completely subservient client state, totally under the thumb of the U.S. and Israel. So
which we can thank that color revolution for, right?
Well, the Arab Spring, both, the revolution and the counter revolution a year later in Egypt left you with a military dictator for life. How about that?
Yeah, great.
Really great. Yeah, as long as it's not a democracy, as long as it's not an Arab republic, all's good in the eyes of the U.S. and the Israelis. Can't have any Arab nationalists or republics or Arab republics, things like that. No, can't have that. That's not allowed. That's the problem. So Iran is a huge thorn in the region because of that. It's a republic. It's not a monarchy. And it's completely independent. They can't have that. It's a threat because it won't be controlled or told what to do, and you can't sort of steal all of its resources and give them nothing back. That won't be acceptable for the Iranians. So, that's kind of the geopolitics in a nutshell of the region, guys. And it's kind of been like that for a long time. Go ahead, Ruckus.
Because there's Israel as it currently stands, and it has technically expanded a little bit as is. But I mean, if they want to become a greater amount of it and label it as Israel, which iteration of Israel is it that the Bible says we're supposed to bless again? Should I be asking Mike Huckabee, is it the Israel now, or is it the Israel of the future? It's certainly not the Israel of the past. That gets you in trouble when you say that kind of thing, right?
But they just write down something in the future, and that extends to the past because, in their mind, Israel's eternal. Just ask Ted Cruz.
Well, now I have hope because they could just keep pushing the boundaries, and before you know it, the entire world is Israel, and then we're all Israel, and we're all God's chosen people, and we're completely fine, right?
That's it. Yeah. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. Those who don't will be cursed, says Genesis. Ted Cruz, Pastor Ted Cruz. They'll try to absorb Cyprus too. I think they've already done it. Unfortunately. Culture is made up of cults. The clue's in the word. Speaking of culture, Boy George got in a bit of hot water this week. Did you guys check that out?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of culture.
And speaking of AI slop.
I know. He couldn't realize why people were so upset. And then I realized he's got a Star of David tattooed on his bald head. And I just thought, and he says, I'm a Buddhist. And, he started pontificating about his Buddhism on X. So immediately I just thought he's begging for this punchline. I said, a real life karma chameleon. Boy
Yeah.
George.
That was great. He got ratioed too. It's so bad. He tried to keep up with the comments for a little bit, and then he clearly had to put the phone down and just close that thread out and let it be, because it mushroom clouded into just about everybody saying, hey, I'm throwing away all my tapes of yours. Who still has tapes of this guy, anyways? Um, it's like, I think I only hear Boy George walking past karaoke bars, maybe, or something like that, which probably we won't be hearing anymore. I mean, he's done. He's effectively done. This is, it's nice. Well, one of the silver linings of this having gone on so long is that the artist community, in particular the music community, is sick of it. They are standing up. I'm seeing it all over the place. It was ironic this morning when I woke up and saw the title of the show, because I think I even mentioned it on the show back in like May. I saw a grindcore band from DC called No Mas, and they closed their show with a whole bunch of expletives aimed at Trump and Netanyahu, and introduced their final song with Free Palestine, F you know who, F the police, F ICE. I even bought one of their shirts, which I'm afraid I probably can't wear in public without causing a bit of a stir. But yeah, there's a grindcore band called No Mas. Shouts out to them, who have been saying that on their tour. One of the bands I saw at Fire in the Mountains, they're called Sobrosa. They're from Salt Lake City, Utah. They did a similar thing. They introduced their last song with Free Palestine at the beginning. So, everybody was pretty quiet about it back when October 7 happened, and when everybody was reeling and trying to figure out where they stood, or trying to maybe just understand the geopolitical situation in the Middle East, which, many people did not have a handle on before these events. So again, a slight silver lining. It's hard to find a silver lining amongst a horrific genocide and a globalist technocrat takeover, but that is one of them. At least the arts are now speaking loudly and publicly, along with a lot of the global population right now.
Try to cancel them and try to deplatform them, and they're doing that at festivals. They're going after booking agents here in the UK, trying to get any acts deplatformed because of allegations of anti-Semitism if they were supporting Palestine or anything like that. Good luck. Not at Glastonbury. It's not going to happen because Michael Eavis is a Quaker. But anyway, eat your groceries. Trump said last year that Gaza would be populated by, quote, world people. What the hell is world people? Maybe that plan extends to the region. Good point. Destroy the infrastructure, empty it, then colonize it with, quote, world people. Just a thought. I mean, they're not going to empty it all, obviously, but they could disrupt it in such a way and rebuild it in such a way. I mean, look at Ukraine. It's meant to be the model of the World Economic Forum for the sort of beta testing UBI paradise, right? One app, digital ID, UBI, wonderful. They've kind of emptied Ukraine, either on the battlefield or through people just fleeing the country. It's now at a third of its previous population. The same thing could happen in the Middle East. Absolutely, it's possible. Absolutely, and probably even easier. So what you have to do is take out the air conditioning, and it's going to empty out during the summer months, folks. So good point there.
Also a great testing ground for all of the new military equipment, all of the new AI. That's why we're seeing C-level members of various AI companies being given military positions. I think this is not only is it's full hybrid warfare, right? It's full technocrat warfare. It's weapons of mass migration. It's ethnic cleansing. It's all these things. But at the same time, they're training their robots. They're changing their rules of engagement so that they don't need humans on the ground designating military targets. And we have to assume, like most technology, this training is quote unquote improving their ability to do things like this, with who knows what level of because we see a lot of mass destruction, right? But they're not showing us the new AI driven surgical destruction very often. And I think that's probably something that is being tested widely in places like Ukraine and the Middle East right now, and in who knows, probably in some African conflicts as well. So,
Well, Gaza is and South Lebanon are the worst examples of that, probably.
Totally. And I think the world would be remiss to not consider that this is a new kind of AI-driven warfare that is coming soon to a continent near you.
I want to get your guys a take on this here from Catherine Foley. Maybe they have a fifth column inside working to collapse the current leadership. She's probably referring to Saudi Arabia there. It's always possible. What do you guys think about the future of the Gulf monarchies? Can they ride out the storm? Can they reinvent themselves, or are their days just numbered?
That's a tough question. It's a wargaming question, and monarchies are great for imperialists. So people that want to do colonialism and imperialism, if they can set up those fifth columns inside of monarchies, and if they can generationally corrupt those families, and I think the picture you showed earlier is a good indication that that is ongoing and has happened. Yeah, absolutely. They could survive this. They could absolutely survive this, and I'm sure that they've been told that they will, and that brighter futures and richer futures are ahead for them, and their little monastic monarchy groups.
The West's secret weapon. Go ahead, Ruckus.
The princes, the bloodlines, the people who are supposed to replace all the monarchs, they're the ones who are completely ridiculously out of control, incredibly worldly, been corrupted, and I think it's too late for them. I think the world has got them, and the world people too. Quite literally. I mean, I've seen so many videos and the lifestyles and the things that I'm just like, yeah, there's no way these people are going to grow up giving an F about like tradition and what it mean, anything. They're just going to be like, okay, you mean I can just keep doing what I'm doing and be rich and act like a billionaire, spoiled brat, and as long as I do X, Y, Z, yeah, no problem, bro. I don't think they even have to be blackmailed. It's so sad. That's just a guess here, anyways.
The West's secret weapon: displaced populations. Weapons of mass migration. That's what we were talking about before. We saw a live fire exercise on this just this week. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, another silver lining with all this stupidity and rank awfulness and anti-humanness, how quickly people caught on to that. That was really quick this time. So, shouts out to the people out there getting smarter and understanding the way that geopolitics work, the way that weapons of mass migration work, the way that NGOs get involved in these sort of things. And that's how you end up with, 500 to however many thousand people running around with, just their shorts and their cell phones on. That's not normal. That is not normal.
So again, Catherine Foley here saying, I believe the real reason Trump backed off attacking Iran is because he and his minions thought Iran would capitulate. I don't know about that. Do you think they're that delusional that they think that after failing the previous 4 times that somehow Iran would capitulate this time? Or are they deluded, you guys? Is it FUBAR, or is this just a cynical game being played by Washington?
Well, I think the video you showed of Netanyahu standing there at Graham's funeral dressing down members of the cabinet really says a lot. I mean, we can't obviously hear what he's saying, but we've heard a lot of things that he's said to and about U.S. politicians in particular. So, I mean, at this point, I'm wondering if whatever Trump and his cabinet think even matters at all. I mean, I think they've been leashed and collared. So I don't know. I think maybe they just dancing to the tune of this disgusting Pied Piper here. Trying to call
Yeah.
it all the rats.
If they are true believers, it's because they're true believers, and it's for a religious reason. So let's just a wild. If Hegseth, I doubt it, but if he's really is all like diehard, I'm this hardcore Catholic Christian guy. I believe I've got unwavering support for Israel, all the Zionist stuff. If they're really doing that because they truly believe somewhere in their hearts and their minds that they have to do all the, then you could get them to do anything. They could be like best friends with Trump, but you convince them, well, Trump's not doing the thing, so we got to cut him loose. Yeah, I understand. It's the best thing for Israel. People really believe in the all the things about Israel. Then I guess they might actually believe that, hey, well, then God's on our side and we're going to win and we're going to beat them. And to continue to believe that, they would have to be fed false information. And you look who's high up in the military. It's not Hegseth who's in control. It's that other guy who's, he happens
Feinberg.
to be.
Steve
Yeah, there you go.
Feinberg.
He's a world person, we'll just say.
Yeah, he's an Israeli massive private equity hedge fund manager who's running the Pentagon. Hegseth is just the front guy. But
would it serve his personal interests or whatever interest he served to deliver factual information to the president and say, sir, we're getting our ass handed to us. We got to change your tactic?
Definitely not. He's a diehard Zionist, Israel supporter, basically Netanyahu's plant in the Pentagon. They run the Pentagon, Israel. And then they want to formalize it by having this treasonous piece of legislation passed that somehow fused the Israeli and U.S. militaries. I mean, what are they going to do next? Declare it the 51st state? I wouldn't put it past Trump, by the way. I wouldn't.
No.
But then they'd have to fall under U.S. law, which would be problematic. They'd have a constitution, which they currently don't have, and they'd probably have to declare their borders, which they haven't done. It's not really a real state. Israel doesn't qualify for statehood under the UN Charter. Has no constitution because obviously it's running an apartheid state, and it doesn't declare its borders because it wants to constantly expand. So there you are. Questions, anyone? Watch Rubio here, you guys, the faux pas. Turning his back on the king. Watch this. Did you guys see this? Look at this. What? He turned his back on the king. This did not go unnoticed, by the way, by the king of Judea, Netanyahu.
You misread that, Patrick. That's a secret Q nod. They did that for the Q crowd. And somebody who's made a bet on Polly Market whether or not Marco Rubio would turn in a counterclockwise and turn his back to Bibi Netanyahu, and somebody just made a killing, and it was probably also somebody who's friends with Rubio made a killing.
Can you bet on that? Or Marco Rubio will do a pirouette during Lindsey Graham's funeral? Yep. But then look at. Did you guys see? Just look who's in the lower right hand corner there. There he is. Again, it's Howard Lutnick, Trump's handler. What's he doing there? He's keeping an eye out, isn't he?
Like
He's very observant.
Haunted house.
He's very observant, our Howard, isn't he? Another good friend of Jeff. Isn't that interesting? Another good friend of Jeff.
And the friends of Jeff are not shy about being out in public anymore or anything.
Not hurt whatsoever by their association with Epstein.
Yeah.
They denied it, then got exposed as lying, and then still no shame. He's just still around.
Yep. And then covered it up, did a double cover up on it.
Howard Lutnick, who cried profusely after 9/11 at that CBS interview, which a lot of people were not convinced about, but that's a separate discussion. I can't believe these people. So you guys, it's all about the tacos this week. No mas, no mas, no more tacoing. Who's saying no mas? Is it it's the world? Is it Iran saying no mas? Is it Trump saying no mas? Is it Israel? Is it the Gulf states? Who's saying no mas? Somebody's saying no mas, right? I left it open.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I've been saying for quite a while now. No mas. Knock it off, you guys. To all of them. Stop it.
There it is. Yep. And a 2575. Very nice Bulgarian Prince cat there. I like it.
Patrick, what do you think China's thinking right now, paying attention to this? Do you think they might also suspect, oh, hey, U.S. stockpiles running low, it would appear? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would just invade Taiwan right now. Just go for it.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah, you know.
He should just roll up. You just roll up. I mean, you wouldn't need to bring anyone with him. Just say, hey, I'm coming. I'm rolling up, and we're going to talk. Hope you don't mind. We got a few issues we want to just sort of put to rest. We want to give you special status, Taiwan, and we'll have a normalization agreement that in 20 years you'll be integrated into the People's Republic of China. End of. And that's that. It's such a grift, the whole Taiwan thing. It's literally part of China, but the U.S. is trying to use that to justify its entire military presence and nuclear weapons in the Pacific. They tried the North Korea gag, and it's fallen flat. Now it's because of China. No, it's to protect Taiwan. I mean, seriously, these people will never give up.
Yeah, like I'm supposed to believe the U.S. government wants to protect the Taiwanese people. Come on. That's the last thing I would consider.
That's the last thing anyone wants to hear. They say the United States wants to protect you people because the way they're going, that means they bomb your infrastructure and, you know, give machine guns to would-be civil uprising groups or something.
Yeah.
Palm Beach Pete. Look at this. Jeff, a.k.a. Palm Beach Pete. Oh, gosh. Here we go. Yes, Lutnick reports everything to BB. Of course he does. Howard. Good old Howard. Cantor Fitzgerald.
Yeah, he knows what was being said to Rubio and Hegseth there. He heard every single bit of it.
Oh, you know, so you probably heard a lot of talk about nuclear weapons. I mean, it's just become normalized. But is that what Israel has up its sleeve? I mean, is that their final card? If they can't win, they're going to nuke? Is that, do they have it in them?
I don't know. I wonder. It's a really good question because their PR campaign is completely failed at this point. What is the world opinion going to be if something like that happens? You know what I mean? It's just like,
what can anyone do? I mean, what, not escalate? What, just to punish Israel, drop a nuke on? I mean, they'll wipe out the Palestinians or what's left of them, but by hitting Israel, they kind of know that the Israelis have their human shields very close to them, which are called Palestinians for everyone else. But what will anyone do? Nothing. They'll get away with it. Honestly, they'll put out some Iraqi WMD story that Iran's about to fire 100 dirty bombs, you know, dropped from hot air balloons or whatever. Who knows? They'll make up something. Bibi telling Hegseth to convince Trump to drop nukes. That's what Mac Wallace Arbitration Service is saying. That's what Bibi was saying in the video. Who knows? But it was some serious orders being barked there, I would tell you. Because Rubio and Hegseth look like a couple of basically towel boys from the Cabana Club. And Bibi was the boss. That's the CEO. Netanyahu. Ben Zion Milikowski, otherwise known as, thank you very much, 1999, from Lake Vacum. Do Vaticanites come to America on political junkets in order to order around the people's officials and tell us to stay in line, or special forces goons will put us in line? No, that's what Israel does. Yeah, and the Vatican's not going to threaten us with the Swiss Guard. You know, as menacing as the Swiss Guard are in their beautiful Harlequin, you know, circus outfits and the 19th century pikes. It's impressive. It looks good. If you've been to the Vatican, they're there, and they don't flinch, but like the Queen's royal horsemen there. But no, I don't think the Vatican's going to send the Swiss Guards to threaten us, but Israel does. Yep, threats have been issued. Threats to Spain. Netanyahu threatened the Spanish, and lo and behold, what happened? World War Z this week. I mean, seriously. This is gangster. This is international racketeering, folks. Writ large. We're watching it. Class, there should be no questions. Thank you for the donation, Lake Vacuum. I hope you're happy with our answer to your question. Predictable as it might be on my part anyway. Howard's mask is hilarious. Is he wearing a mask?
They're talking about that weird, creepy mask from the Epstein Files pictures that looks like Howard Lutnick's face.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. No, that's weird.
Oh, yeah, I'll see if I can't dig that up. That's a good one.
It's very eyes wide shut.
Yeah, folks, I'm afraid it's just... Oh, here we go. Here's an explanation, guys. The AI image of the menu is correct in English phonetically. I don't read the script to check the Farsi. I was told by another commenter that the Farsi is random, some random words that don't make a whole lot of sense. It could be.
Common with AI.
Grok hasn't polished its Farsi skills yet. I'm sure Elon's working on it. Elon wants to deploy 1 million satellites into orbit. Do you guys think that's a good idea?
No. Not unless we're going to have full transparency on what the payloads are. That's my thing with these things. You can't just expect a government tied tech agency to just be doing philanthropic communications work. That is not something that I can believe from any current global government or tech company. So, and plus I used to work in satellite tech, so I know what kind of things they can attach to satellites, and the amount of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance and weaponized things that can be attached onto small satellites, low Earth orbit satellites, SNAP satellites, that kind of thing. No, we should not just assume that there is only, big broadband being sent up there so that we can all talk to our friends in Palestine. Oh, wait, we can't do that anyways with this technology. We're not allowed to.
Tara Pritta Wild says, thought this was an educated channel. Is it not an educated channel? Please elaborate.
Please educate us if we're remiss in some education you have.
The AI might have got the Farsi wrong. Again, I'm not taking responsibility for that. That's on our AI generative artists. But no, I think
department.
I hope you're not saying the conversation's too lowbrow for you. In that case, maybe you should try another podcast.
I hear there's more than just this one out there.
They'll be banned from Eurovision if they use a nuke. Oh my gosh. Is that what it takes? Is that what it takes to get banned from Eurovision? What's Ruckus got here? Wait a second. Let me blow that up. Is that a Lutnick mask? Was that in the Epstein files?
That was, yeah. So there was a picture. It looked like a dentist chair or something with some sort of nitrous oxide tank. And there were a bunch of these weird, creepy masks on there. And a fair number of them looked like famous people, including this one, which people pointed out looked like Howard Lutnick. So much so that he was actually allegedly asked about it in some sort of behind closed doors testimony when he was questioned about the files stuff. And they wrote a whole bunch of articles and talked about it. That's why I was like, I thought this might have crossed your path, because it's such an eerie resemblance to him that the congressperson or senator, whoever was doing the questioning, asked him directly, why is there a mask that looks like your face on it, sir? And Epstein is crazy.
Who's the other one? Is that Walt Disney up?
I'm not sure about that one.
Or was that
there were a bunch of them.
Could be young Mitch McConnell or sort of plump Adolf Hitler. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell.
That mustache is a little small.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what it takes to get banned from the Eurovision. You drop a nuke. That might do it. It might even get them banned from FIFA, believe it or not. They might get treated like Russia if Israel drops a nuke. I hate to joke about these things because it's not a laughing matter, but we're pointing out the farce of it. And thank you, Jabiru Joe 5206. Thank you for bringing levity to this conversation with such intelligence, much to the chagrin of Tara Preda Wild, who said, "This is the lowbrow channel." I beg to differ with you. That's a great comment right there. Look at that. Yeah. Eurovision. It's okay. Highbrow comments, folks. Turn on your clever caps. Here we go. Here we go. We'll see what and Lutnick was Epstein's next door neighbor. I didn't know him. He was a sicko. Never spoke to him. I met him once and I ran away until I went onto his island on Christmas with my wife and kids. But that's another story. That was an accident. I didn't mean to go there. I texted him and he invited us, but it was an accident. I mean, I don't know how we ended up there, especially on Christmas Day and with my kids. Come on, Howard. We're not stupid.
Just because I have to get your take on this real quick. Why didn't Howard Lutnick just go ahead and plead the fifth like Fauci did 111 times?
He could have just denied it and said, "That's not me. That's not me." Or just do what Bill Clinton did and just say, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by on the island?"
How do you define that? Does that count if I'm just circling it in my super yacht?
How do you define on the island? What do you mean with Jeffrey? Do you mean with him in the photo? Does that prove that I was there physically on the island? It could have been photoshopped. Who knows? But yeah. I know people in low places where oh, come on, not the Garth Brooks. Please. That looks like Kemal Ataturk, the mask they're talking. Was that in Jeffrey's makeshift dental, or he had like a plastic surgery stroke dental surgery on the island?
Yeah,
which is creepy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think they used disguise masks to move around? Probably, yeah. Kind of creepy, huh?
There were people making a lot of associations with some MK Ultra kind of connotations and stuff like that.
Yep. The odd paradox that in jail, people who hurt kids are the lowest forms of life. Outside, they occupy the highest stratas of high society. Now, that's an interesting observation here by Neil Curry. Very good. Very good. An odd paradox. So true, isn't it? Odd, yes, and true.
Yeah, and a lot of the people he's referring to have never, and unless things change, will never see the inside of one of those places, which really makes you wonder what level of protection they have.
Make the Virgin Islands Danish again. That's right. The U.S. parlayed the Virgin Islands in the same wrap-up deal as Greenland, I think. Those two were tied to I don't know the deal. I have to go look that up again. But yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. Yep. Left and right, two pillars, syncretism is the stone on top that was placed there by the architects. These invested in politics are controlled by the lodge. Bern-Bernath are the upper tier of it. That's the Zionist lodge, Bern-Bernath. They serve as an attack dog in the U.S. and Canada, especially very powerful in Canada and deplatforming people, destroying people's careers, targeting people, and so forth. It's a bit like, again, this is like a racketeering operation, isn't it? It's incredible. So, all right, guys. Yeah, so anyway, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your engagement, you guys. Appreciate it. I think we're going to wrap this one up pretty soon, gentlemen. Unless we see Ruckus, Hesher, any other issues or things that you want to reflect on or comment on that we haven't covered?
I'm dying to know if you have any thoughts about the Fauci thing.
Anthony Fauci. Tyler Fisher released all his old Fauci gag videos, which is hilarious. He did one of the first ones on this show, by the way. Remember that?
Yeah. Ruckus and I were just trying to remember the other day who it was that did the amazing Trump impression, and I couldn't pull Tyler Fisher's name out of my head. So thanks for reminding
Yeah,
me.
that was before Tyler blew up and was on Fox News and all that. He was on the Sunday Wire, and we appreciate him doing that. Tyler is a good, very talented comedian.
Comedy is another realm where this topic has just become no holds barred. You sent me a couple clips. I think we've sent you a couple clips. It's been very interesting to watch comedy sort of resurge and remove some of the blinders and hands over mouths that were there before.
Yeah, so for the Fauci thing, and again, let me bring this one up here because just quickly, this comment, you guys. Lutnick said he left Epstein Island with all the kids with him, but he didn't say if the other kids he left with them were just dropped off. Well, I mean, that would be pretty shocking and scandalous, wouldn't it? If that were the case. I can't confirm whether that is the case or not. But Rand Paul playing his part in the WWE wrestling show reveals how is no more than a GOP Bernie. Yeah, so on the Fauci thing, guys, I'm sorry, but how old is Fauci now? 86?
Something like that.
But it's still red meat for the likes of Elon Musk and the COVID warriors. I'm sorry, but we won that battle already. And we won in decisive fashion. And it seems like the sort of, I don't know, the beta males lining up to beat on this old Fauci. I mean, I didn't take him seriously. He was annoying with the white coat. Raise your hand if you complied with any of Fauci's control measures. Because that's the problem. People complied. You really have only yourself to blame. There's some inconveniences, yes, like flying, air travel, stuff like that. But if you didn't fly during that period, I flew on BA without a mask. British Airways, believe it or not. I talked them out of it. I didn't have my vaccine thing and I didn't have a mask. And they literally stopped me with 100 people behind me saying, "Can you call? Do you have a note from your doctor?" I said, "I've got his number here. Do you want to speak to him?" And no, just go ahead. And next time, this won't be allowed. This won't be allowed next time. I said, "Yeah, I fully understand. Thank you very much." And off I went. And then I get on the plane and everybody pulls their masks down during the flight anyway to eat or sip on their drinks or whatever. And I thought, this is just a joke. Seriously. So, I mean, it just depends how much of a fuss you're willing to put up and how much inconvenience you're willing to swallow. It really comes down to that. And if everybody pushed it to the max, Fauci has no power. And what they're doing is using Fauci and this fake, well put here by Eat Your Groceries, WWE wrestling match. They're using it to basically push the lab leak theory. So all of you COVID warriors, you are empowering a narrative that's endorsed by the CIA, the fake lab leak story, to make to put the idea out that there was a super virus. You're setting the table for another freaking pandemic, you idiots. I'm sorry. I can't be nice about this, guys. But these people who are supposedly like against Fauci, whatever, they're sitting here basically laying out the narrative, empowering the whole technocracy with this fake, stupid lab leak conspiracy theory endorsed by the Central Intelligence Agency. That should be the red flag, folks. When the CIA comes out and says, we endorse the lab leak. Where's the red? Did you not see the red flag pop up? It was automatic. It went like that. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just amazing, guys. What do you think about this? Rand Paul, the grandstanding. Oh my gosh.
Rand Paul is pathetic at this point. Pretty much everyone on Capitol Hill is pathetic. The fact that it even got a Capitol Hill hearing means it's relegated to the realms of bread and circus now. And the whole thing is a humiliation ritual. Sitting there and it's meant to humiliate people who have lost their jobs, lost family members, lost aspects of their vitality and health, people who are upset, who realize that they lost what they thought were the founding tenets of their country. You know what I mean? This is just a victory lap in disguise as a trial of some sort. There's, the fact that he was pardoned, and look at the people Trump has pardoned. Look at the people all the presidents have pardoned over the years for the most part. Says a lot about the point of these congressional hearings. I think that these congressional hearings are made to sort of humiliate people subconsciously, and let them feel even worse about the things that they lost during that globalist scam and takeover.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Fauci's retired. He's not going to have his wages garnished. They're not pushing for him to be like, and Republicans are saying he should be imprisoned. I mean, it's just a very convenient scapegoat. Because I'll tell you who really screwed us, or whoever made the decision, Donald, who was president, by the way, during the COVID farrago. I can't remember. Was it Trump, right? Yeah. Who was the architect of Operation Warp Speed and the killer vaccine that killed and injured so many people? Isn't that Trump? Yeah, that's Trump. So who put the $8 trillion on the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve to pay businesses to lock up and pay people to stay at home and waste all this money on PPE loans? Who gave the order to print up all that money that's causing the hyperinflationary spiral that we're still stuck in now? All that inflationary pressure is from 2020, by the way. Every economic, yeah, that's Trump. And the bankers told us, stay at home. Don't worry, we're going to get you guys into debt properly. Stay at home. And we're going to send you a check, a stimulus check, a $2,000 or whatever, $1,500. Take that check and cash it. If everybody cashes that check, it'll pump up the inflation rate, and you'll have paid for that 4 times over within 5 years in the cost of everyday goods and services. Congratulations. So that was Trump. Okay, Trump was responsible for that. What Fauci did is nominal and almost comical. Comical in the sense that people actually gave him authority. They conferred authority on this silly little Mel Brooks type character. You know, that nobody heard of him before the so-called crisis, but you all ran head over heels for the crisis. Everyone was wallowing in the fear, loving it. Absolutely loving it, doing your part, but it's the money, guys. That's the killer. It was the money. They wrecked the economy for us. We're still suffering today. Either they're trying to cancel jury trials because of the backlog of cases. When did that backlog begin? Oh, COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing now doctor's appointments by Skype or whatever Zoom now, because of the backlog. What they're still doing it. Why? Because of COVID. So all of these things that just destroyed our services, our society, our economy was because of COVID, and nobody stopped to question what might be the ramifications of going down this road. Everyone just lined up, do your mask, cash your check, get your stimulus, get your PPE loan. And it was Trump was the guy who basically should be blamed for a good chunk of that. Biden did his part, of course, but only on the tail end. And he wasn't even compos mentis, so you can't really blame him. He wasn't even there. He was off in La La Land. Dementia. So I don't know, guys. I don't want to litigate the COVID thing anymore. I just thought, and when I see the Fauci thing and his diary, his journaling, it is patently ridiculous what Fauci wrote. He's a true believer, folks. He believed that he was like ordained by God to save America. He was loving all his fame and his interviews, and he was loving it. He probably thought, this is my time, like kind of, I'm doing my bit for humanity. We got to close up. Maybe we'll open up in 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure. Everybody get the booster, get the vaccine, get triple boosted.
And it's the same stupid grift that he did during HIV AIDS. It's just a redo of something that has already an atrocity, a crime against humanity, a crime against humanity writ large, that was never properly litigated. And, that confused GOP voters all the much more when RFK came out, restating everything that had happened in that time period. And, I think people forget about that or don't want to think about that or aren't old enough to have lived through that. But I mean, it's just an amplified redo of the same thing, except this time he had, he's just the figurehead once again for all the companies making money, but this time global government is involved. Global government is involved. They had the IMF and the World Bank going to places like Ecuador and countries in South and Central America and telling them how to behave and waving bags of money in their faces and piping the propaganda into them, getting everybody in the Western world as feared up as possible and as drugged up as possible.
Yeah. Fauci and Burke should be imprisoned and tried for murder. So like there's people who say they didn't lock down hard enough, therefore Fauci's responsible for 200,000 COVID deaths or whatever. Anyway, then there's people say, no, they're responsible for the toxic poisonous vaccine and mandating that. So you can see that these dueling, warring little factions in the argument there. But the thing about the COVID warriors and the health freedom nuts, okay, that I just don't understand is I will then tell them, and they'll agree with me, that the PCR test is fraudulent. It doesn't detect cases. You could swipe the bottom of your shoe and it'll give you a false positive. Everyone did videos releasing showing that. Everyone knows that. So the data of all the cases, in other words, everyone who's labeled as a COVID case, even if they're hacking up phlegm, it's from a PCR machine. And you guys will admit that. And then I'll say to you, well, they changed the protocol for cause of death during COVID, added an extra column on the sheet so you could drive off a cliff, but if you tested positive for COVID, you died of COVID, and it goes into the death column. You guys all agree with us that came from the WHO during COVID, special change. Everybody followed the administrative new protocols, which pumped up the stats. Okay. You guys all agree with us on that. It's obvious. It's provable. But then you'll say, but there's still a super virus on the loose. It came out of Wuhan, ravaging the planet. It can't be both, folks. You got to choose. You can't be with Carrie Mullis. You can't be a Carrie Mullis truther and believe in lab leak at the same time, like Robert Malone and these people, these health freedom heroes that all basically made millions of dollars off their COVID warriorness. Just some of these people were making like 1.52 million a year on Substack. Some of these people. I mean, they robbed the bank, basically. And they're pushing lab leak. It's amazing, isn't it? Some of these people. And RFK Jr. is probably the grand poobah of them all. What an absolute fraud and an absolute charlatan that guy is. I mean, the real Anthony Fauci. Oh.
Yeah. Thanks for repackaging that one for us and saying you're going to do something about it.
Yeah, and then just make sure you get that ticket on the Trump train. Way to go, RFK. He's like, we need safe vaccines.
We spotted this coming back in 2021, I think, late 2021, early 2022. It was like, I remember you and I sat down and had a conversation about this, and it was like, okay, this whole, dirty dozen group of people, they are going to make a mint on this, and they have to stick with certain aspects of the narrative to be able to do so, aspects that don't make sense. And what have they done? Well, we're 100% right. They're doing exactly that, and they're still making money. They're still making money hand over fist on their health products.
I am the science. Yeah, like Peter McAuliffe and all these, saviors. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
Mild congratulations for being around to make us feel a little bit better. But you guys all made absolute bank off that. But I am the science, Fauci. Yeah, I know all that. Yeah. They sold the mathematical odds of a pandemic fear as a reason to impose a higher frequency system to get in front of the curve. Yeah. Of course. We all know it. Grocery clerks no longer bag our groceries. Not only that, guys, at church, there's this thing called, you say, peace be with you, and everyone shakes hands. It's like I grew up with that tradition. So did my parents and everybody else in the world before that for thousands of years. And after COVID, it's not safe to shake hands anymore in church. You stick your hand out and people go like this. I could be carrying the virus.
Super spreader.
The only pandemic was a pandemic of fear, folks, and a pandemic of propaganda. That was the only pandemic. I don't want to get into all the science of it. If you followed us during the COVID farrago those years, I mean, honestly, save yourself the headache. Just go to Alex Zek and watch some of his videos talking about viruses and how it's virology is a complete fraudulent branch of pseudoscience. But I don't want to get into it. Anyway, it's I can't. It's a Fauci. It's just like Elon Musk. My pronouns are Joe Fauci. Yeah, you're a freaking tough guy, Elon. Yeah.
Yeah,
but you can't. Comment. But he can't comment on Gaza or anything in the region.
No,
he has to keep his mouth shut. Tough guy. Free speech guy. Not allowed to talk about it. He's been given orders, hasn't he? Yes. Oh, indeed, he has. He's got nothing to say about any of that. The biggest events, biggest wars, the biggest military paradigm shift in the region, Elon can't comment on it. One of the reasons is because he's very involved on the military side. That's why as well. And he's making money off it, off the war. But as Elon famously said, there's no angels in war. That's what he said during the whole Mariupol siege at Azovstal. There's no angel. He was giving satellite dishes to Nazis, literally. Trying to save the Nazis in Azovstal. Remember that, Elon? We do. He scurried away from that, though, pretty well. And, yeah. That's right. Gosh, I don't know what to say. Guys, it's just God, look at these comments. Yeah. Okay, look. Who brought up Fauci?
I knew partly what you were going to say, and I thought it was very important. I mean, because everybody's talking about it right now. So in case you
know you're right,
you're new to this audience, I thought it was very important what you had to say about all that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is the mother of all problems, isn't it? The whole COVID hoax, the mother of all problems.
Yeah, so and we have not arrived at a place of agreement, a place of understanding. I think that's another thing that's indicative about Ruckus's question and the bread and circus bull crap that we're seeing on Capitol Hill. That's another part of the humiliation ritual is making people feel atomized, making people feel like they can't come together on the topic, making people feel like, if I question virology, do I have to do do I have to, do a 2-hour lecture to someone to try to make them understand why I feel that way? You know what I mean? We're still at a place where humanity is in jeopardy from this style of grift. It may not happen next year, but I mean, look at, AZT, HIV, AIDS, and then graft that into 2020, 2021, and leaving the public still not really understanding what's gone on and all that. It's just another part of their victory lap, because we still can't figure out how to talk to each other about it, especially in short form contemporary discussion styles.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip. Yeah, the new one. Yeah, it's I mean, these people, especially, I don't know, these sort of fake conservatives on the right, like the Musks of the world and those sort of like opportunists, they got nothing to say about pushing back on World War III. Literally, people are talking about dropping nukes casually now. Nothing to say about that. But when Fauci's in the dock, and whoa, Fauci, we gotta jail Fauci, the 90-year-old pharmacist with a white coat, literally a character out of a Mel Brooks film, literally, all 5'4" of them.
And how can one person be the scapegoat? That's another thing, there's this whole scapegoating ritual. Like, seriously, we're supposed to believe that this decrepit old crypt keeper for big pharma is behind all this? I mean, if you really start, you don't have to, conspiracy theory very hard. You don't have to conspiracy theory at all to figure out that the entirety of our CIA, our political body, our corporate body, our international banks, the World Health Organization, the big pharma companies that rolled out the pandemic industrial complex, they all did this in lockstep. They all did this together. You're talking about a small group of people compared to the wider world population, but a very large group of people compared to one little, crypt keeper guy.
Yeah, and the Elons of the world, they all complied with all of the COVID nonsense. They were pushing it. That's back when Elon was campaigning for Biden, right? You guys remember? You remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
Just like he campaigned for Hillary. You remember that?
Yep.
And Obama. You remember that one? Yeah, I do.
They did it up until midterms. They all did that. The entirety of the new conservatives, the MAGA, the GOPs, all that. They all complied right up until the moment that right around the midterms, just before the midterms, when the midterm election cycle kicked up. That was in 2022. That was when we saw all those voices switch and start blaming Fauci and blaming Biden. And that was also when we saw a whole bunch of people that were in the Trump campaign and not quite in the Trump campaign yet starting to switch their opinion on this. And it became all of a sudden we were allowed to talk about it on YouTube, whereas we had spent two long, dry years of basically zero audience, where we did what we do every week. And it just got smaller and smaller and smaller. And it wasn't that our message was not important to people. It was that we were being completely shadow banned. We were being removed. We were getting strikes and all this stuff. And it wasn't until 2022 midterms when it became okay. It became blessed by, I'm guessing, the CIA and whoever else to politicize the event. And this, what we're seeing now, is why this is the culmination of the politicization of that.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And so what? Fauci pleads the fifth. So what? What the hell are you going to learn from Anthony Fauci? That thing has been wrung out. That issue has been wrung out so hard. And at this point, nobody wants to blame themselves. You know, they're just like the cucked beta right wants to wail on the old man, or it could be a purple haired, confused, gender dysphoric undergraduate from Berkeley. They like to wail on them as well. But when it comes to taking on anything serious, you won't find these people. You won't find them. They sit there with their stupid red hat. Anyway, Jackie Kennedy. What a name. Jackie Kennedy. 9990, 27 Canadian loonies. Booyakasha. 27.99 Canadian money. You guys are awesome. I love the show. We love you. Thank you for your generosity.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Jackie Kennedy.
I got to put this one up, Patrick, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Craig William, how do you know? Why would you say this at me? Is that a bit of a dig? Hesher, you didn't get to see Buckethead in the Bay Area, and Deli Creeps. Oh well, you have your grindcore. I've seen the Deli Creeps many times, and I've seen Buckethead many times. So I don't know if you think grindcore is mutually exclusive to Buckethead fans, but you got the wrong Hesher.
Wow, that's like an internal sort of dig in the amongst the metal grind community.
Coming at me culturally, huh?
Sectarian, it's a sort of sectarian warfare there. Yeah. Oh my God, this is. Oh, I just found this one from Kurt Boss, Avenger. Wait, hold on. Israelis are going mad if they're not in Eurovision, and then he followed up with something really, really offbeat. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Nukes are to knock out the plague before the midterms. Yeah, that's interesting. There's just some really sort of controversial stuff. And oh wait, I'm saying I'm pretty sure Joe is not Patrick's buddy. Joe who? Joe Rogan? We don't know each other. Trust me. No, hold on. Kurt Boss. Let me find the other one. Israel will go mad if they're not on Eurovision. I thought he was going to talk about something like conflating the use of criticizing Israel for using nukes could be viewed as anti-Semitic or something along those lines. Yeah, there's a Starlink. Yeah, I mean, looks all that junk up in space. I don't want to. Why do we need 1 million Starlink terminals? What's going to be better? Does that mean I can just do gaming out in the middle of the desert with my high-speed Starlink connection? I mean, what can 1 million satellite units? Like, that's a lot of space junk, folks. Just trashing the planet, trashing the atmosphere, and then telling us at the Trump rally, don't worry, guys, we can trash this planet because, hey, we're going to Mars, right? Isn't that going to be cool? That's what he told us. Won't that be cool? We're going to go build cities on Mars by the time Trump's first term's over. Basically what he said. So this guy is just an absolute sociopath. A complete liar. I mean, talk about this SpaceX evaluation, guys. 3 trillion. Yeah, right. Based on what? Sales of 10 billion. Okay, that makes sense.
Anthropic,
make
the makers
sense.
of Claude, they're doing something similar. They're going to be the next one that's going to be the largest IPO ever. I guess they'd have to beat SpaceX.
They might as well get in on it. Cash out, folks. Mark Andreessen can buy another island and another bunker in Miami. It's going to be the elite neighborhood. It'll be like a gated community with entrances to all the bunkers. That's their idea of a compelling future. But isn't that Skynet? 1 million satellites? Is that Skynet? Yeah, that's what that is. Thanks, Elon. Appreciate it. Mars is the god of war. That's where we go. Well, yeah, some say. Makes sense. Goodness gracious. Guys. Mad world. It's a mad world.
Yeah.
Elon is such a dork. Yeah, he is that as well. Let's not rip on Elon too much. I mean, yeah, he's got the two most overvalued companies in history. He is selling vaporware, right? But let's not be too hard on him. He's the richest man in the world. We shouldn't be criticizing him so harshly. Don't you think?
Yeah, we'll let
You
it
see his
slide.
fanboys defending him. He's got tons of fanboys. Why are you
yeah.
criticizing Elon so much?
Yeah, you
Because
can't
he's the
do it.
richest man in the world.
It's like the old Britney video meme. Leave Elon alone. He's brilliant.
Oh my gosh. If Terminator taught us trashing the planet, that's right. If Terminator taught us anything, it's not to be friends with AI. Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah, I think the Mars idea is pretty good. We should, instead of saying, well, we let the oligarchs and the kleptocrats destroy Earth, so now we all have to go to Mars. Why not send the oligarchs and the kleptocrats to Mars? They can go there and have war with each other and live in harsh environments and let their robots fight each other. Maybe we could find some more peace here.
Okay, here's a comment, guys. I'm not going to let this go before we chip off here, but then you're calling Jeffrey Sachs a fool if you discount lab leak theory. You're all naive, though you would not have mattered as precaution. Well, on that front, on that issue, Jeffrey Sachs is not a biological scientist. He's somebody with a big platform who has an opinion on the official conspiracy theory, the CIA endorsed conspiracy theory called lab leak. Okay. Listen, nobody's perfect. Certainly not Jeffrey Sachs. So I agree with him on those foreign policy stuff, but he's not a scientist. He doesn't know anything about virology. And the fact that there was no SARS-CoV-2 found in any of the patients in Wuhan. There was no live virus, hasn't been shown. No biological sample, hasn't been proven. It was spun up on a computer. It's called metagenomic sequencing. I'm already miles ahead.
Yeah, I had Jeffrey Sachs on my show at TNT many times, and I had many good conversations.
Absolutely.
With Jeffrey.
Yeah.
We
I like
agree.
Jeffrey. He's a great guy.
He is.
He's a very important voice on so many issues, but on this one, he is a bit like Rand Paul, completely lost in the woods.
And it's understandably lost. I understand why people look at me like I have two heads when I tell them virology is junk science, and it's like, okay, it's kind of like you said, it's not for me to litigate that to you. I feel that way because I watched and read everything that I could on it, and I talked to everybody I could on it. And that took 2 years. It took a long time for me to look in the mirror and sort of audit my thoughts about virology and bacteria and all these different things that you kind of have to understand. So yeah, I get it. Someone like Mr. Sachs or whatever, like, I don't fault them for thinking that lab leak must have something to do with it. And on top of that, Dilyana Gitsanyeva did an amazing series of reports on these sort of quote unquote gain of function laboratories right here on Sunday Wire, right here on 21stcenturywire.com in 2018, 2 full years before this whole thing came out. So that's another point of dissonance that people have, because we actually do have receipts for these laboratories. We actually know that these laboratories are all over the place. Most people don't actually know how all over the place they are unless they've read her work, you know what I mean? But the fact that there's this trail of money, there's it really does lend credence to that worldview, and the fact is most of us are not virologists, most of us are not doctors, and you really do have to do this kind of research on yourself. And if you're just taking the words of people of 4 or 5 people instead of looking at the wider scope, it's understandable. I don't hold anything against people that that still are working lab leak theory, because there was a purposeful train of evidence that was laid out for sleuths to sniff down, and it does look like that is what's happening, and I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I did that, worked on that with Diliana, helped with that film, the documentary film on the Luger Center in Georgia, Tbilisi. That's a U.S. run lab. I didn't understand even a smidgen of what I know now after the whole COVID farrago forced us to really interrogate and become experts in a lot of these things. But back then, my understanding of virology was like anybody else's, like Jeffrey Sachs's. But now looking back on it, I realized what I did learn from that project was that everybody working there had diplomatic passports, and therefore they had diplomatic pouches. Therefore they didn't have to be checked in and out and on flights and so forth. And then I realized it was the same with all of the Ukraine biolabs run by the U.S. Defense Threat DETRA, I think, or Defense Emergency Defense Threat, whatever department. I forgot the name of the branch of the MOD. And I thought to myself, now looking back, and then Tulsi Gabbard did this whole release before she left about Ukrainian biolabs, which was a nothing burger because Russia released all that like back in 2022, right? But it was an intelligence front. Virology and the virus industry internationally, led by the U.S., is a massive intelligence front. They can go wherever they want. Peter Daszak, EcoHealth Alliance, has a literally carte blanche badge. Through any border, through any customs, through any checkpoint, doing God's work for the WHO, finding viruses. And that's exactly what they're doing in Georgia and right along the Russian border. And the Rand Pauls of the world, and maybe the Jeffrey Sachs of the world and everybody else, they'll say, oh, they were, working on bioweapons, and the U.S. taxpayers paying for bioweapons. Yeah, it's bioweapons research, but none of those bioweapons have ever been operationalized because most of it is vaporware. But guess what? There's plenty of people that have made millions off of that industry through the Cold War and after the Cold War. It's just like a weapons program, Hesher, that just gets rolled over. If you're in it and you got a little gig, you're set for life. And
Yep.
I'm not going to make any accusations, but, I'm not saying people like Robert Malone, who work in that industry, countermeasures and defense contracts and developing vaccines against bioweapons. And I'm not saying him specifically, that's what he did, but, people who work in that field, who work for the government, that's what it's about. And whether that's in the weapons business, in the whatever boondoggle aircraft project that gets mothballed after everybody sucked enough billions out of that whole thing, paid for by you-know-who, it's the same thing. It's another grift. It's another grift. Bioweapons research. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, what a great way to have just endless money, endless ability to have people with various job descriptions.
It's the best CIA front ever.
Fake job descriptions.
Best CIA
coming
front.
and going from various, what was it, like 18 countries or something like that. It was a ridiculous amount. And of course, when it became politicized and part of this new CIA talking point, it was like, oh yeah, they have them in just a couple of countries, right? They only want to talk about the ones in Ukraine or the ones elsewhere. They don't want to go into the fact that these are just everywhere and that they are part of military programs of record, which means they have money, a lot of money every year that they can count on. And it's an access point, as you pointed out.
Yeah. So they everyone's making their money, and then whoever can use it as a convenient front, basically. This is a good theory here, guys. We'll end with this for Starlink, Skynet. No, it's for porn in the Outback, says DJ Marcuson. That's absolutely terrible. Shame on you. You must be Australian, Outback. We don't use those terms over here. How do we get from primordial cosmic soup mix to this present day 666 matrix? Good question. We're trying to figure that out. That's one of the great profound riddles that we work on here at at the Sunday Wire. Terrain theory. Yeah, you better believe it, buddy. So you guys, it's all about the taco, and no mas, no mas, no mas. That's the question of today. Who is saying no mas? That's the real question, isn't it? Who is actually saying no mas? I think we're saying no mas, definitely, for sure.
100%.
But thank you guys for joining us. This has been a great Sunday Wire. Appreciate Bryan McClain. Ruckus, your final thoughts and any broadcasts of note coming up this week that people need to know about?
I'll start. I've been out of studio for the last week and a half. I went to Montana and participated in a festival called Fire in the Mountains, which basically had zero corporate support. It's done on the Blackfeet Nation site up there next to Glacier National Park. It was an amazing event, and it was a nice reset from all of the nasty state of the world stuff that we focus on here. So I had a bit of a great reset there, and just want to give a big shout out to everybody that went, and the Blackfeet Nation for hosting us. Like nothing you will ever find in heavy metal, literally an intertribal meeting between metalheads and the Blackfeet Nation and some of the neighboring tribes up there. Just an absolutely awesome thing, and a lot of community building and stuff like that. And I hear Basil's out doing something similar this weekend, so I guess it's festival season for some of us here at Sunday Wire. I met a longtime supporter and viewer there. Someone actually pointed me out, and it was our buddy Trevor S. Shout out to Trevor S. He told me that he and his dad found you back when you broadcasted, did a guest appearance on Red Ice, and I know that was a long time ago.
2014.
Yeah, so more than
2015.
10,
Yeah,
yeah,
2014.
been with us the whole time, watching Sunday Wire, following 21stcenturywire.com, following Boiler Room. So that was really nice to meet someone like that out there at a place like that. And as far as ACR goes, we missed a couple Boiler Rooms while I was gone. We were thinking about doing one this week, but Ruckus and I sat down and we had to do some back end work on the website. So anyone that experienced some issues with our website over the last 2 weeks, we're back up and running. So big thanks to Ruckus for sitting down with me and keeping me sane while we worked the back end of the website there. And we'll be back with a new Boiler Room on Friday if all goes to plan. So check us out at alternatecurrentradio.com. And yeah, that's it for me, Patrick. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, and did you guys see my Instagram post of the actual ACR stack? I saw it in the Tate Modern.
Yes, that was awesome. Thank you for posting that, by the way. That was great.
Yeah, I posted the artist name as well. It was an installation. It was like, I saw it and I'm like, is that that's the same thing kind of thing. I don't know if you've modeled after that, or if the image came from that, or he just did the same concept basically. I don't know.
The image is, I'm pretty sure the image is from that thing that you just saw in real life. Yeah.
So we gave him a shout as well on Instagram. That artist. So that was quite, and it's playing all different frequencies. Every single one is playing. It's kind of weird. But it kind of fills up the room. It's a little bit chaotic actually, but still somewhat subtle. Yeah, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Some people are saying gain of function, and gain of function is a complete fraud. It's never been shown to actually happen. A lot of research, a lot of millions have been pumped into it. There we go again. Oh, the money, but they haven't done it ever. ever. Now, in bacteria, yes, there are bacteriophages. That's a different branch. That's real. But in terms of virus gain of function, total vaporware. Dr. Sam and Mark Bailey have fully exposed that. We've got all the reports on 21st Century Wire. Just put gain of function in the search bar at 21st Century Wire. I don't want to get into the science, but that's just a fraud. Someone said they put this up here. Dr. Andrew Huff knows everything about Fauci and gain of function, bollocks gain of function. It's a grift. And unfortunately, plenty of people do it. You know, unfortunately, other countries are working on it too, because most people don't understand how this stuff works. There's only a handful of people that know all the idiosyncratic ins and outs of these little boutique science arenas, and they use their esoteric closed society approach to siphon millions of dollars and millions of yen and millions of yuan, whatever the government is. The whole it's a global grift, and most people who work in the field don't even understand the field. Half of them, they're just going along with it. Basically, data analysts, most of them, they analyze data. They're not doing any science. But anyway, welcome to Big Pharma. Welcome to Big Pharma. You provide the problem, we'll provide the solution. What do you want? Pills, vaccines, we've got it all. Just create some problems for us. Detect some viruses in some sewage somewhere. We'll get you some smallpox vaccine. We can spin that one up. It's safe and effective, and it's sure it works. And yeah, the virus is real. Trust us. It's kind of how the business goes, guys. That's how the Rockefellers designed it. Just saying. I don't want to. It's such a hard debate, guys, to get into, because everybody knows somebody who died or got sick from something that the doctor said it was a virus, when more likely it was something else completely. But that's the kind of world we live in. That's how they're able to spin up a fake pandemic, folks. So we're just saying, ask questions. Just saying. It's impossible to litigate. It is such an absolute fraud, and so deep and multi-layered. Awesome, Hesher. Glad you got much needed reset there. Ruckus, take us away.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Also, let's not forget one of the other reasons they did all that was to, for some reason, they seemed quite obsessed. Maybe you all will agree with me about getting a certain something injected into your body. They seemed desperate to do anything they could to get that into your body. Luckily, a lot of us did not. But you know what I'm talking about. It is, of course, the mRNA technology, therapeutics, whatever the F it is, right? Well, I don't even think they need to do another pandemic to get everybody to willingly jab their arms with that crap again, because that's exactly what they're doing right now with this these GLP-1 drugs, the Ozempics and stuff. And by now, if you haven't, you're probably going to notice or hear a lot about it this week, because, you know, Ruckus is just forward thinking like that sometimes. You'll probably see a lot of people talking about, why do all of the Hollywood celebrities suddenly look sick and ill from taking this Ozempic crap? They all look like they're literally starving to death. And a lot of researchers and armchair detectives and conspiracy theorists wearing their tinfoil hats too tight are already suggesting that maybe it's just a way to normalize the fact that things are not going to improve anytime soon. I know the president says that the war is ending and everything's just going to get right back to normal, but call me skeptical in that department. And if things don't get back to normal, like 2 weeks ago, like 2 months ago, like probably 3 years ago, we're all headed for a whole lot of trouble. So, you know, please remember to, you know, keep track of you and your own, and take care of yourselves and be safe out there. And thanks for having me. And as always, read everything, listen to everybody. Don't believe anything unless you prove it for yourself with your own research. The wise words of William Cooper.
Yeah, if we knew it was going to end like this, the show, we would have all worn our white coats today, right?
I have a clipboard somewhere. Will that work?
And a clipboard, yeah. And then everyone would have believed us, whatever we said, right? As soon as you put that coat on, it's amazing. The coat, the power of the white coat. It's pretty impressive.
Next time they roll Fauci out, we'll know how to dress.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, they can't spend the money fast enough. You better believe it. All right, guys. Take care. All the best. Have a great week. We'll catch up to you soon. Appreciate it. There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the dream team. Hesher, Ruckus. Big thanks to everybody out here in our chat rooms. We got very good engagement. I think over 2,000 comments this week. So it's popping pretty well in the chat room. Appreciate you guys on the engagement. It's pretty good. And yeah, if you want to support this motley crew, this independent media platform, we need your support more than ever. And I want to say thank you very much to everybody that has donated to our platform in the last couple of weeks. It's been a really good response. We need to keep things going. We have some huge overheads, as well as personnel and so forth, and just content. And yeah, we've got a lot of different things to manage, and we need you guys' help to make that happen. So appreciate all of you who've been supporting us in various different ways. Obviously, the best way you can support us is to subscribe and become a member at 21wired.tv. You like this show, you like what we're doing, you like the way that we do the content, you like the way that we break it down for you, you like the coverage and the investigative articles we're putting out every week at 21st Century Wire. Great shout out to Freddie Ponton, of course. Then subscribe and become a member at 21wired.tv. That's one way you can support us, or just donate. Got different options there. Credit card, PayPal, crypto, whatever the case may be. And if you can't afford to donate, listen, just take this link, share it on social media, drop a comment under our YouTube and Rumble video, hit like and hit subscribe, and tell your friends to do the same. You do that every week, you're going to push us up the ratings. And listen, we can't ask for more than that. That's really what we're trying to do, is increase the visibility of this program, of this channel, and of 21st Century Wire as an independent media outlet. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Thank you once again, and a big shout out to, again, our team and everybody else. Yeah, Basil Valentine, a lot of you guys are looking for Basil. He's off this weekend, but we'll be back very soon. So take care, you guys. This is Patrick Henningsen, your host. It's been real. It's been great. But we are going to say sayonara for now. But keep an eye on 21stcenturywire.com this week. And we got more coming. Take care. All the best.
Show of secret talks, a cold stealing serpent calls, buildings burn, masking riot shots. It's TV terror, watch the will of God. Hey, here we are, heaven come down. Here we are, coast consuming all our lives. Rejuvenate, resist the pulling dark. False flags and endless wars, mass-born psychosis waged, forced medical tyranny, the complicated